This podcast is brought to you by Most Valuable Podcasts, leading the league in podcasting entertainment.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. This is a Fast Break Podcast. I'm your host, Sean Anderson. Alongside me, as always, is Ricky Widmer.
What's up, guys?
And Dave Oster.
Hey, everybody.
And today we are going to be talking about our final week of Wet Boys. We're going to recap the NBA Finals. Warriors win in a sweep. And then we are jumping into our mock draft 6.0. Full 2 rounds with trades. We got it for you here on this week of the Fast Break. And thankfully, guys, we are recording on June 9th. As we know it as 6-9, so the best day of the year. Anyways, before we jump into the final stock, before we jump into the mock draft 6.0, we do want to give you guys a little bit of something, a little bit of housekeeping. Check out patreon.com/mostvaluablepodcast. We're going to have Zani on next week. We're super excited. If you want to be a patron like Zani, like Jake, like all the guys that have called into the Fast Break, the Onside Kick, the Patreon podcast as well, head over to patreon.com/mostvaluablepodcast. Also, don't forget to check out mostvaluablepodcast.com. If you want to help support us that way, buy a shirt, check out some articles, find everything that we post on one site. Also, if you're listening on iTunes, don't forget to rate us 5 stars. It helps and it really pushes us forward, gets us out in the open more. So if you want to help us that way, rate us 5 stars, not only the Fast Break Podcast, but also the Onside Kick, the Primetime Podcast, the Rick and Johnny Podcast, and A Graphic Conversation is also on iTunes. So don't forget to check that out. If you're listening on Blog Talk Radio, huge shout out to you. And if you're listening on YouTube, what's up? We're going to have either the full 2+ hour podcast that you're watching right now,
long.
Or the first segment, which is Wet Boys.
If this doesn't hit 3 hours, I will be very upset with myself.
I don't know about that.
Try.
I don't know about that.
And it's going to be a fun podcast. But boys, let's jump into it. We are talking about the soggiest of shooters, the dampest of dudes, the moistest of men. For the final time this year, the Warriors sweep the Cavaliers in the NBA Finals.
I wish we had it to where we can just get one shining moment with clips of all the Wet Boys from the year.
That'd be so good. Get on that, editor.
Yeah, come on, editor. But anyways, we're talking about the dampest of dudes for the final time. Ricky, start us off with one of the soggiest shooters in NBA history.
The soggiest, and that is Steph Curry. I mean, for this one, you know me. My trend has been one game Ricky. That's what I give my Wet Boy for. And although Steph did show up a little bit in Game 4, Game 2 won him this Wet Boy this week. I mean, what was it? 9 or 10 threes, breaking the record that Ray Allen held. And then he did in Ray Allen fashion exactly what Ray Allen did when he broke the record. Went 0 for 9 from 3 the next game. So, Steph, I know he had that one bad game. I'm wiping it off. I'm saying, everyone gets one. Game 2 was really good. Steph, Wet Boy of the Week.
Well, and we're just talking about soggiest shooters. I mean, I think he's like maybe...
I think he's the soggiest.
I think he's 7 three-pointers made from Ray Allen's all-time record in the playoffs. Steph has 378. Ray Allen has 385. So do that math. What is that? That's 8 away? He's 8 away.
So he'll
from
break it
doing
next year.
But he does have the finals record for three-pointers made in the finals.
Yes, but here's the thing. Ray Allen played 171 playoff games. Steph hasn't even had 100 yet. Still got 90. Insane what Steph Curry can do.
Oh, man.
Dave, you have kind of the mainstream pick, I guess, this week.
I mean, I'm going with the obvious one here. The MVP of the series, the MVP of the playoffs, really, for the Golden State Warriors, and Kevin Durant. He's just out there being a 7-footer who shoots better than everyone else in the NBA. I can't help the fact that he can pull up from anywhere he fucking wants and just drop it in over anybody else in the league.
The shot
you said during, what was it, Game 3, he's a machine. I'm like, he just anywhere. It's like back, turn, pop.
It was literally that shot in Game 3 that he hit. And it's just like, all right, that we all knew LeBron was gone. That shot was like, all right, LeBron's gone.
Well,
right. And the series wasn't even over. The game wasn't even over.
What made that better
6.
was LeBron's comment after the game. They asked him about it, and he goes, "Oh no, that was he was about 5 feet.
He was 5 feet further than the last year.
It was insane. It was
don't understand.
Nothing but net. He was an absolute monster in Game 3.
He's an absolute monster in every game. The man almost averaged a triple-double while being the most efficient shooter in the playoffs.
And some people say he's the best player in the NBA right now. I disagree. I still think it's LeBron. And some people are saying this is an excuse. But LeBron did hurt his hand, his right hand, after punching a whiteboard who wouldn't after Game 1. But again, you look at this, and it's not really about who's better, but you just have to credit KD because he is an all-time great. He might not be the greatest player out of this generation, but he is definitely one of them.
And I mentioned this to Dave yesterday. I want to ask you personally. When we had that segment with Jake, and all of us had LeBron above Durant, you made the statement of going LeBron and then a huge gap and then Durant.
I agree.
Is that gap smaller than what you thought it was?
One game. I mean, yes, he showed what he can do in one game.
I'm
It was on
just
the biggest
saying,
stage. Yes.
The gap is there, but
okay,
is it as big as you thought it was?
But who had the better game? If we're talking about better game,
In
LeBron's
one
game
individual
1.
performance, yeah.
LeBron's game 1 was better than KD's game 3.
But if you look at the averages throughout the series, they're not too far apart. That's all I'm saying.
But also, LeBron did have a broken hand.
Yeah, well,
so
LeBron did that
again,
himself.
I'm not trying to take away what Golden State.
So how
Cleveland-
smart is the best player in the
I'm not
league?
trying to take away what Golden State and Kevin Durant did. I'm not trying to do that. But
I'm
again,
just saying, if Kevin Durant plays till he's like 40, he's going to be the leading scorer in the NBA history.
All
Like,
right,
he's just going to do that.
what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish up Wet Boys. I'm going to give my Wet Boy, and then we're going to talk about the NBA Finals. Sean Livingston's my Wet Boy. First time Peoria kid. We got to end it right. We got to end it with an Illinois
I see where
native.
it's coming from.
Sean Livingston, one of the worst injuries I've ever seen in my life. He's bounced back. He's been absolutely fantastic for the Warriors in this run where they've won 3 titles in 4 years. In the last 3 games, 7 points per game, 3 total rebounds, 1 assist per game. But the biggest thing, 82% from the field, 100% from the line. He was absolutely automatic this series. He wasn't a massive contributor like he has been before, but he was giving solid minutes, quality minutes, just like him, JaVale McGee were. Also, you got to give a shout out to Andre Iguodala as well. Him coming in really helped to just secure those victories for the Warriors. So shout out to Sean Livingston, Peoria boy. So we got to represent Illinois here. But again, let's look at this NBA Finals. Let's just briefly dive into it because I don't really want to make this about any excuses for the Cavs. Was this one of LeBron's worst teams that he took into the finals? Yes. Was LeBron absolutely great throughout this whole playoff series? Yes. Did the Cavs, I think, on the series outside of LeBron shoot 36 from the field and 28 from 3 outside of LeBron's totals as a team? Yes. But Golden State was absolutely great this series, and the worst game they played was Game 1. And you looked at overtime, and you looked at that third quarter, you just saw that Golden State was still the better team. Cleveland just had more momentum, and it wasn't until that momentum switched on that JR mishap where Golden State took over. And we said it, I think, on this podcast where we said, Golden State, it's going to be absolutely tough for Cleveland to come back and win this. I think we said there's a possibility of Cleveland taking it to 6 or 7, but I think all of us took Golden State in 5 or 4.
Yeah.
Well, like my biggest thing doesn't even have to I don't even care about is this LeBron's best team that he has and all that.
Or his worst.
The Warriors were good, or worse is what I meant. The thing that sticks in my mind is, and everyone kind of has almost the same thing, I feel like this was Game 4 just in itself the worst way to end the year. I'd rather have had it, even if it was a blowout, I'd rather have had it where you felt like the Cavs and LeBron put everything on the floor, laid everything out there, although they got swept. Where in this one, it's like, you look at it after halftime and it's like, really? LeBron and that Cavs team basically said, I'm phoning it in. Like, why do Stephen A. said, the great line of, I want to thank the Cavs for not making me have to schedule a connecting flight to, San Francisco just to get beat in Game 5.
That KD dagger was literally a dagger, not only for that game in Game 3, but also for that series.
Like I said, Warriors in 3, man.
It was so dirty. No, and to be fair, I want to give the credit to the team because they were close games. I know it was a sweep, and I know
outside of Game 4, they were close.
Outside of Game 4. Yeah. The first 3 games, we actually got a good series out of 3 out of the 4 games. And to their credit,
but they just gave up in the end. That's the thing that sticks with me. It's that Game 4 was
they were down 20.
It was I'd rather it have been Game 3 or even Game 2 where it's it's a good game. Yeah, they got blown out, but I felt like they gave everything out on the court and didn't leave anything.
I know people are going to bash LeBron for that and be like, how can he be the GOAT? This isn't for the GOAT discussion, but it's
it's just in general.
But what are you supposed to do? You've done everything you could for 4 games. Your hand's hurting, and you just see KD, Steph lighting it up. There was nothing they could do. I think that's just something where you're just getting beat over and over again, and you're like, all right, I'm gonna sit in the corner now. I'm sick of this. I want this game to be over with. Honestly, it's something where I think we have to credit Golden State more than take away from what LeBron James and the Cavs did. Because Golden State, this is going to be an argument that we have now. Not really, is LeBron the best player of all time, but is this the greatest team we've ever seen? Is this better than the Bulls dynasty of the 90s? Is this better than the Lakers dynasty of the 2000s? Is this better than the Celtics dynasty of the 80s? Bad Boy Pistons, Showtime Lakers. Is it better than those teams, or even the 60s Celtics with Bill Russell? Which team is now up there? Golden State winning 3 and 4 clearly is in that discussion, and I would say they're probably in the top 3. You'd probably throw in the 90s Bulls, and then I would probably even throw in the 80s Celtics, Showtime Lakers, or the 60s Celtics. But, I mean, phenomenal what the Golden State's been able to do over the past 3 years, and they're still going to stay strong. Clay's going to be back. He's saying he's willing to take a pay cut. KD's saying he's resigning. Steph's already, I think they got to lock him up again. Or no, they just locked him up. They did. And Draymond's around. So, I mean, they have the 4 guys. They're still going to be able to put players around them like Nick Young, like JaVale McGee, like Sean Livingston, like Andre Iguodala. They're going to be able to supplant those 4 with talent. This team might be able to win 5 championships in 6 years. It's going to be absolutely ridiculous what this team's able to do, and you're going to need to see what the rest of the NBA needs to do to take down this team rather than what the team needs to do to keep up this performance.
And I know we're not getting into it. We'll save it for later, but I'm going to mention now what the rest of the NBA is going to do, what LeBron James is going to do. Because virtually his decision will impact what this dynasty is. But
I mean, to be fair, like the Rockets were one incredibly unlucky streak away from knocking them out in 6.
Yeah.
And then
but
7.
I mean, and on the other side, the Cavs were a Pacers Game 7 and a Celtics Game 7 from not making it at all either.
No, but nobody gives a fuck about the Cavs
No,
right
I
now.
know,
The point
I know.
is the dynasty that is the Warriors. What
Almost
I'm
got
saying
beat
is
by CP3
they
if
literally
he was healthy.
Let's take a look. The first round, player on the other team, injury. Second round, injury. Third round, injury. So, like, let's not say that this team smacked down everybody like there was no problem. There was a string of circumstances that made their path easier. So, I don't know. A full health Houston team could have beaten them.
And the thing, too, with the Rockets, and I want to throw this out there because we talked about Brian Colangelo getting fired and everything. And I said that Houston is now in the lead to sign LeBron. And people are like, oh, well, what about Clint Capella? You're adding LeBron fucking James. You're adding the best player in the NBA. It doesn't matter about Clint Capella. Yes, is he a young, good big that's going to add you at least some length? Yeah, but I'm going to take LeBron James and all of the money in the world to sign LeBron James over Clint Capella. I don't care. If it means trading Ryan Anderson for the rest of 4 future first-round picks, I don't care because LeBron James is going to be on my team and we're going to be able to take down the Warriors. And Daryl Morey said, every team's goal should be taking down the Warriors because, again, 3 and 4 years.
But the thing, and I've actually thought about this with the Rockets too, is you go for LeBron, but if you don't get LeBron, they're a team that, all right, I'll bring back Clint Capella. I'll go after, even they added Paul George and brought back Clint Capella. That's a team that could take down the Warriors potentially.
Maybe. I mean, the Rockets do have a lot of options because, yes, they might need to bring back Clint Capella. They still need to move Ryan Anderson's contract. Eric Gordon might need to be moved. But, again, if you're trying to bring in starters like PG-13, LeBron James, it's going to be something that's interesting. Final thoughts on the finals? I mean, you really thought that it was going to go this way.
I had the exact thought that you had brought up where I was watching this finals and I'm thinking, man, if Golden State wins this, we could have the debate. I'm thinking more of like the second repeat with the Bulls where it's like, because they both did it. 3 championships. I know the Bulls did them all in a row, but they didn't have to go up against LeBron James. And then they each had the 72-win season. They had the record. And it's just so many coincidences between those teams that it was like, we can have that debate of which team is better, this Warriors or that three-peat Bulls team.
What's more impressive, the Warriors going up against the Cavs all 4 years, or the Bulls beating the Jazz twice and then the Supersonics, or beating 3 different teams the first three-peat? Beating the same team 3 times and going up against the best player currently at that time in the NBA, or going through different teams. Does it matter?
I think it does.
That would be something I would have to ponder on.
Well, we're going to talk about that probably in the offseason because we need stuff to talk about. But anyways, that's going to wrap it up for the final Wet Boys. Thank you guys so much for supporting this topic and idea. We're going to be bringing it back next year. Also, let us know your thoughts on KD if he is in the conversation for best player in the NBA right now. He had a absolutely fantastic final, so definitely deserves to at least get that recognition. Also, let us know where you think the dynasty of the Warriors fits into the greatest teams of all time, the greatest dynasties of all time. Interesting thoughts we want to hear from you in the comments below. But let's move into the main event of the podcast, Mock Draft 6.0. We are going to break this down into 4 segments, 4 pieces. We're going to go 1 through 10, then 11 through 20, 21 through 30. You've been here before. That's what we typically do. And then for round 2, we're going to do round 2 in one whole segment, and then we're also going to recap everything that happens and our final thoughts in those 4 segments. If you're watching on YouTube, there's going to be more segments if you're just watching 1 through 10. So definitely check out the rest of the 6.0 mock draft. If you're watching full on YouTube or listening to the full thing on iTunes, welcome, strap in, sit back,
it's gonna be
relax.
A good one.
It's going to be fun. let's jump into it. Ricky Widmer, take us through your 1 through 10, and then explain your trades after the picks are made.
So we'll start off number 1, the Phoenix Suns. They're going to stay, and they're going to take DeAndre Ayton. Then the Kings at 2. They're going to take Marvin Bagley. Then our first trade, the Mavs move up with the Hawks. They're going to take Michael Porter Jr. at 3. The Bulls then move up to 4. They're going to take Mo Bamba at 4. The Hawks moving back to 5. They'll take Jaren Jackson Jr. The Clippers then move up to 6 to take Luka Doncic at the 6th pick. Grizzlies move back to 7 to take Wendell Carter Jr. Cavs take Trae Young. Knicks take Kevin Knox. 76ers take Mikal Bridges. So there's a lot of trading between 3 and 7.
If you found that hard to follow, it's okay. We're going to run through all the trades.
And here they are.
Still going to be hard to follow.
The first one's going to be the Hawks and the Mavs.
Hold on one second there, Ricky, because I feel like in order to really explain these trades, we need to get in the mindset of what you bring to the table. So just give me one quick second there on this one.
For our audio listeners, I'm getting a tinfoil hat.
Yeah, he's gonna rock the tinfoil.
So I don't even think
true
this
Ricky
is
style.
the one.
Nice addition, Dave.
I think the Hawks, my Hawks Mavericks one isn't even my tinfoily one. But Hawks Mavs doing a switch of 3-5. But here's what they're getting: the Hawks are going to get Wesley Matthews, the 5th pick, and then next year's first round pick from the Mavericks, where the Mavs get Kent Bazemore and the 3rd pick, but they also get Michael Porter Jr. with that 3rd pick.
And the thought process is that Wes Matthews has 1 more year on his contract.
Yeah.
Bazemore has 2 more years.
Do the Hawks fans
at least free up
comment section? Bazemore has always been a guy that has been linked in trade rumors. Mm-hmm. Why not get rid of him in this deal?
Bazemore's also less money than Wes Matthews.
Exactly. The Grizzlies then, they're going to get Bobby Portis, the 7th pick, and a future top 10 protected Bulls pick. Bulls get the 4th. So, I mean, this is one where the Grizzlies, to me, let's go and add although he's not like a 28-year-old veteran, let's add someone who's been in the league that can help us win now a little bit.
Where does he play?
Bulls want to get Mo Bamba. He plays at the 4.
But how does he help this team?
He'd be an energy guy for them at the 4.
I don't see
He's a guy that can, although he's not a sharpshooter, he can nail from the outside. He can play down low.
Better at it.
He's going to be a good pro for the Grizzlies. Bulls get the 4th. They take Mo Bamba. And then the Clippers, this is the big one. They're going to give up Tobias Harris back to the Magic. And then the Magic also get the 12th and the 13th. Clippers take Doncic at 6. And then that's all my trades for the top 10.
So the Hawks and Mavs switch, the Grizzlies and Bulls switch, and the Magic and Clippers switch. And again, Ayton, Bagley, Porter, Bamba, Jackson Jr., Doncic, Wendell Carter Jr., Trae Young, Kevin Knox, and Mikal Bridges is Ricky's 1 through 10. And we'll jump into more of the discussion on why the player fits for each team. But Dave, take us through your 1 through 10.
Sure. My 1 through 10 starts off with the obvious one. The Suns taking DeAndre Ayton. At 2, the Kings taking Luka Doncic. 3, the Hawks taking Jaren Jackson Jr. Then I get a little weird. I've got at 4, the Clippers taking Michael Porter Jr. 5, the Mavericks taking Mohamed Bamba. 6, I have the Suns taking Trae Young. Weird. 7, I've got the Utah Jazz taking Marvin Bagley III. At 8, I've got the Cavs taking Colin Sexton. 9, the Knicks taking Wendell Carter Jr. And 10, the 76ers taking Mikal Bridges.
All right. And we want to recap some of those trades as well, Dave.
Yeah.
Well, like for you, I got to lean over for this one because Dave threw it down there.
Threw it down.
How do you put this on? Is that how you wanted your hat?
Yeah, we're just going to rock
it. Like a ball cap?
Yeah, we made it like an old Irishman.
Like the old man hat. All right. So I guess the one that kind of stands out first is the Clippers going up to 4. Mm-hmm. So that trade is the Clippers are going to receive the 4th pick and Chandler Parsons, while the Grizzlies end up getting Tobias Harris, Pat Bev, and the 12th pick. It's a spicy one.
It's a spicy one.
The next trade I have is obviously the Suns taking the leap up to the 6th pick. They're going to get the 6, and they're going to get pick 35, while
from
the
Magic
are going to walk away with pick 16, pick 31. The future pick from the Bucks with protections obviously are on there, and the future pick from the Suns, 2019 top 3 protected, and Marquise Chris. So you got to unload. You got to really haul out the train to steal the bank with this one. And then obviously the Utah Jazz being the 3rd one there. The Utah Jazz are going to go and get pick number 7 and Cristiano Felicio. And the Chicago Bulls will receive pick 15, Alec Burks, and a future first-round pick, lottery protected, and then another future first-round
No
from
protections.
From the Utah Jazz.
And we'll talk about that trade because I know Bulls fans are like, why are we trading back? Why are we trading out of the top 10?
It's situational, baby.
There is a lot of moving parts in Dave's trades. But anyways, let's go to my mock draft 1 through 10. Suns, the big thing I want to do, I want to preface though, is I'm drafting if I was the general manager. So I'm looking at future needs, I'm looking at scheme fit, and I'm looking at potential of the players, and I'm also not predicting who's going to go where on June 21st. I'm trying to be right. So when you look at this in the next 5 years, you're like, oh yeah, this guy knew what he was talking about. Or you'll look at this in the next 5 years and say, okay, this guy's an idiot.
I mean, I think we look pretty credible with our tinfoil
Of course. So
Dave still has
I'm a rocket.
and of course, I'm going to go away from that whole thought process because I think Luka is the safest pick in this draft. I think he should be going number 1.
Yep.
But Suns, with DeAndre Ayton coming out and saying he's the number 1 pick, he's not working out for any other teams. Ryan McDonough, way back earlier in the season, saying they're taking DeAndre Ayton or they're interested in DeAndre Ayton. I think the Suns are going to take DeAndre Ayton at 1. Then at 2, the Kings go Luka Doncic. Then the Hawks go with Jaren Jackson Jr. Then at 4, the Grizzlies go with Michael Porter Jr. Trade alert here, the Bulls trade with the Mavericks and take Mo Bamba. The Magic at 6 take Trae Young. The Mavericks at 7 from the Bulls take Marvin Bagley III. At 8, the 76ers take Mikal Bridges. At 9, the Knicks take Wendell Carter Jr. And then at 10, the Cavs take Miles Bridges. And here are the trades for you. For the first one, we'll do the Bulls one. So Mavericks received the 7th and 22nd pick. That was the pick that the Bulls got from the Pelicans, and the Bulls received the 5th pick. Pretty straight up on that one. And then the other one is the 76ers received the 8th pick. Cavs received the 10th pick, 38th pick, and 39th pick from the 76ers because the 76ers have a ton of capital. And I think it's going to be an easy flip right there. So nothing too crazy.
I feel like you're missing something.
Yeah.
But it's not too crazy.
I feel like you're missing something now.
I feel like you got to join. You got to own up to it, Sean.
I will be at least in, what's it called? Camaraderie?
Yeah.
I will at least in
if you don't take
camaraderie
draft advice from these 3 guys, I don't know what GM wouldn't.
Now this is a picture for the thumbnail.
Yeah, so we want to give let's give a 5-second pose. Okay, perfect. All right, so that was our 1 through 10. People are gonna be like, "What the fuck did we stumble upon?"
Listeners are probably gonna be like,
so
"Oh my god, did it end?" No, it didn't end. We just stopped for.
But let's jump into this. All right, let's talk about some of these picks. Let's talk about some of these trades. The first one, obviously, we all have Suns taking DeAndre Ayton. I don't think there's too much to argue about it. Suns aren't moving back.
Even he called it.
Yeah.
I mean, at that point.
Ayton called it. He's not working out.
Got to call your shot, man.
Is there anything else we need to say about the Suns, at least with the DeAndre Ayton pick at number 1?
Unless, the only thing I can think about is, unless this is him going, yeah, I did well to be number 1, and then they surprise us and go, nope, Luka's number 1.
But what do you think, like, percentage-wise, Dave, what do you think that's going to happen? Or is it 100% for DeAndre?
It's like 99.95.
Okay. And would you agree with that?
I'd say I'm going 95% DeAndre. Okay. I'm still giving a 5 for Luka.
That's a lot.
I know. I'm giving a 5 for Luka.
And one thing I've come around, at least, again, I know I was talking about future needs. If I'm picking for the Suns, I'm picking Doncic. But for the Suns, it also does make sense. They want to be able to bash inside with Ayton and then spread out. Use Bender on the outside, Josh Jackson on the outside, clearly Devin Booker on the outside, and there's talks that they even love Trae Young, so they're trying to move up, use some of the capital that they have accumulated, and try to get Trae Young. Talk about massive spacing, and then talking about DeAndre Ayton dominating inside. It's going to be something that, again, if they're able to make the right pieces fit, it's going to be something that does work. So I think Ayton does fit. I like Doncic better, but Ayton, it seems pretty damn clear that he's the number 1 overall pick here. For the Kings, though, Luka, for me, you have them going with Marvin Bagley, and Dave, I believe you have them going with Luka as well. So what's the idea with the Bagley pick there, Ricky? Because Doncic, again, we think he's the best player available, and he fits into the system, brings a secondary ball handler behind De'Aaron Fox.
Well, for me, Doncic wasn't even in the equation. It was either Bagley or Porter Jr., and that's only because I know there are reports. They're not for sure written in stone, but I'm going to stay true to the reports that we talked about in a past podcast, that both the Hawks and the Kings were going to pass on Luka. Yeah, they could be a smokescreen, but I'm going to buy into it. And for me, it was, what do they go with? Do they go with Porter Jr., who was very impressive, apparently, to the Maverick scouts that were there, or do they go with Bagley? I'm still sitting there going, yes, I could go Michael Porter Jr., but I can fit Bagley in with this backcourt a little bit better. So I'm going with my original pick of Bagley to the Kings, just to put into that front court and just fit him in next to a Willie Cauley-Stein.
But the one thing is, I mean, David, and we talked about this a lot, is they took Scale recently. They took Harry Giles, and Harry Giles coming back off of an injury, and they're saying he looks really impressive. I mean, do you understand the Bagley fit? Do you understand the Bagley fit, or is it clear to your mind that they should be going Doncic, and anything else would be a mistake?
I think the idea that you can't have too many good players on a team in one position is kind of a fallacy. Like it's just not true. You can stack up with great players because spacing in this game, I don't want to go all Danny Ainge and positionless basketball, but that's where we're going. So having another guy out there who in Luka, who is 6'8", who can ball handle like a point guard, who has the good size, good shot creation for himself and for others. Like, I don't think that crowding a backcourt or maybe extending out your 1, 2, 3 and just having 2, 3 wings, whatever position it is, I don't think that's a problem. The one thing I will give you about Bagley is he's a high energy guy. They can really roll up tempo with that group. Willie Cauley-Stein runs the floor. You got the great set of guards. I don't think that's a huge concern. But my thought then goes to the, what do you do with someone who you've been hyping up in Harry Giles coming in? Like, he is the guy who they expect to take the step and be the guy. But at the same time, I mean, you're saying why invest in a guy who's already got 2 bum knees?
Well,
take
and
the guy who's a sure thing.
An insurance policy as well. I mean, maybe you don't trust Scale, and then if Willie Cauley-Stein doesn't stay because his contract's coming up soon, then you have Scale, Harry Giles, and then Marvin Bagley. If you take him, at least your three, your 3 rotations of the 4 and 5. Well, and again, Bagley possibly could turn into a center. Well, we really don't have a position for him.
He's got the physical tools to get better defense too. Right now, I know he's atrocious, but it's not like there is the ability to get better. At least it's not hopeless.
Well, and the thing about Luka to the Kings, and this is something that the Suns, the Kings, I would say even the Hawks, maybe even the Grizzlies, maybe even the Mavericks all have to kind of go down to. And this is why, for me, the Clipper trade makes sense also. Is he going to want to come over and play in Sacramento, play for the Kings?
For Vlade?
With
or Bogdanovich?
If you're a team that's a bottom feeder and you're in a smaller market, is that going to be appealing to Luka, who, there's nothing either way if he's going to for sure come or for sure stay. There's still that choice, chance, though.
You're in California. So, I mean, your market is really dependent on how well you're doing.
But
if you're building a winner, the people will come. I mean, there's a lot of floaters that if the Lakers are down, then they're looking for a team. And obviously they're going mostly to Golden State right now.
I have a worry that if a team like the Kings or a team like the Hawks, if they draft Luka, I have a worry of him going, you know what, I'm only 19. I'm going to stay here for a while.
It's about a negative 17% chance of that.
I don't think he passes up this paycheck.
There's always, like how you said, the 99.9%. I would say that is the same thing for him coming over.
No,
it's almost
literally 0%.
But there's a slight chance that he could choose to say, no, I'm going to stay here, even though you have my draft rights.
I'm leaning more towards Dave, just because of the fact that, again, being in America, and this is not to bash on European basketball or any Europeans out there, and Euro basketball in general, but the difference between being an American superstar and a European superstar is millions and millions of dollars. I mean, we see it consistently. And if he's able to secure big brand deals like Nike and be able to push that towards an American market and then also be able to still pull European influence. I mean, let's look at what Dirk was able to do coming over.
Look what Giannis is doing. Like, all of Greece.
Exactly.
I mean, loves this man. And he gets voted in for everything.
There's a thing where you're still going to get that support from overseas. Yeah. If you come over, you're still going to be able to make a ton of money.
But could it also be a Ricky Rubio situation of, I don't like the team I'm drafted by? That's why
maybe, but we don't know that. I mean, he's got to be drafted by the Kings.
And that's what I'm saying. The Kings and the Hawks,
fine.
Those would be teams I would be a little worried that he might stay.
Oh, well, but I mean, again, it's all dependent on the actual interviews, which we're not conducting. So we'll have to see. But we do want to move on to the third pick because, Ricky, you do have a trade. Mavs moving up with the Hawks. The trade, again, is Hawks get Wesley Matthews, the 5th pick, and the 2019 Mavs pick. The Mavs get Kent Bazemore and the 3rd pick. Why do the Hawks move down in your mind? What's really the reason why this change does happen?
Well, because for me, if I'm the Hawks, you're really here you're doing it's not a huge move, the Wes Matthews and Bazemore, but really it's you get a future first. And for the Hawks, for me, I think they could go Mo Bamba or Triple J. So if I'm the Hawks, I sit there and go, you know what? At the time I'm making this trade, the Grizzlies are there. yeah, if they go Triple J, I'll just take Bamba. If Bamba gets picked, I'll take Triple J. And it's kind of like I'll take whatever 4 or 5 is left over to me, whatever big man's left over to me, and I get that future pick from Dallas. And with Dallas moving up, this is just from everything with reports saying that their scouts, the people that they had at MPJ's workout yesterday, basically, that they were really impressed. So I'm looking at that going, if you're really impressed and you have the option to move up to get them, you move 2 picks and are up 2 picks and get them, why not do it?
Yeah, I mean, it's one thing where I kind of understand you're at least going towards the future, but even with the Mavs is why do they need to pull the trigger to move up, Dave, to get a Michael Porter Jr.? Is Michael Porter Jr. going to change this team so dramatically where Jaren Jackson, a Mo Bamba, a Luka Doncic won't at that 5th spot, at least looking at Ricky's mock draft, because you're also giving up that 2019 pick. So if you're not holding on that future capital where you're not able to build around Michael Porter Jr., you're not able to build around Dennis Smith Jr., will you be able to have enough? Is Harrison Barnes enough? Are the players that are still on this roster enough to really take this team to the next step?
So the upside of Ricky's deal is if you believe Michael Porter Jr. is worth not waiting to see what lands and what comes to you, 100% agree to that, because he could be the best scorer in this draft. He could be one of the best, most polished offensive guys in this draft. So I don't know that you have to have like a grave concern about that. It's the health. And if you pass all the physicals and all the doctors say, look, he's going to be good to go for the next 15 years, no problems. Like, it's very hard to pass up on that. Yes, you're giving up future allocations, but the Mavs are a team where they're going to go find some, either a journeyman in the NBA or some D-Leaguer, G-Leaguer, and get them to play meaningful minutes at a decent rate for them. I trust in their coach. I trust in their schemes. I think that, yes, he could be, impact-wise, greater impact than any other player available except for one. And that sort of thing for me is I think that they are kind of toss-up. Either if Michael Porter falls, great. If Bamba falls, great. Either one of them to that Mavs team, I feel like they're 1 and 1A.
What about Luka, though? Because Luka's still available for him.
That's what confuses me the most. But at the same time, like, I would have taken Luka. So why that's me. That's not everybody.
Why did the Mavs pass up Luka?
Well, for me, it's the thing of part of it was playing into like the report I saw that their scouts, and they used the quote, very impressed with MPJ. And
but
also,
you don't believe that could be a smokescreen?
And like I said, it can be. Yeah. But for me, I'm looking at it also of like, if this is a guy, and yes, if the medicals clear out too. If the medicals don't clear out the one that the Bulls did, then why would you make this deal? But this is a guy that they went from, he's a top 5. Then it's like 2 weeks ago, a week ago, we see, he could fall to 7 and below. Now he works out and everything's going like, he's a top 3.
What if the scouts said they were pretty impressed, not very impressed?
Well,
or what about
pretty impressed?
He was impressive.
Yeah, like if it was any of
you're
those,
reading very high into this word.
He wasn't extraordinary.
That's why I'm like, what adjective would really sell you on like that?
If someone were to say like when you say extreme, like, and if it wasn't in quotes, then it would get me. No, it's serious.
I know. That's why I wanted to know.
If I come up to you and I go, yeah, I was impressed with that, you'd be like, okay, Ricky liked it. If I said I was pretty impressed, you'd be like, all right, Ricky liked it. But I said, dude, this really impressed me.
But
or
he didn't
extremely
say that.
Impressed me.
They said pretty impressed. They didn't say dude.
No, they said extremely impressed. So if it's like,
but they didn't say dude.
That's one thing where it's like it could be a smokescreen, but it seems like they're interested. And with the Mavs, I would go ahead and pull that trigger because if he's going to be a top 3 guy, yeah, you could take Mo Bamba, but in mind the Bulls could trade up and take him. So really, with who can trade up and potentially get Bamba,
so you're thinking you're trying to best to secure the guy. Don't be like the Knicks last year who waited to see whoever fell.
Exactly.
And still
exactly.
So
and
you're trying to outbid the Bulls.
Yeah, and that first rounder to me, that 19 could be protected. I'm assuming it's going to be like a protected, and then it
top
moves
5,
on.
top 10.
Yeah, top 5, top 10, maybe even top 3, whatever they want to put in, whatever you want to put in.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. With Michael Porter Jr., I think that this is a kid who, again,
he's the anomaly this year.
He's a massive anomaly, and people keep saying if he's healthy, if he's healthy, if he's healthy.
And now we're hearing healthy.
I was gonna have that he was gonna be a 2 just because I think he's healthy, and I've consistently said that he was the best player before he got injured. In this draft, I waver too much. I don't really know. I don't get a solid feel. I haven't seen him play. I don't have the ability to put him at 2. That's why I don't have the ability for a team trading up to him. If he falls to the Grizzlies at 4, where I have him falling to, that's where I think he's going to end up. But a team trading up, putting up that many assets, 2 first round picks, and then, the Wes Matthews, Kent Bazemore thing doesn't matter, but 2 future firsts, that's something that can turn into, those are 2 starters for you, where Michael Porter Jr. in the next 3 years, if his back doesn't hold up, could be out of the league.
Unless Dallas tries to hit it in free agency and either this year or next year go after those free agents.
But still, I'm saying if Michael Porter Jr. still doesn't pan out, you're still losing 2 first-round picks.
That's
more.
I mean,
it's a question mark.
I'm not saying Dallas could be screwed, for the future from this.
And right now, I'm making that decision off of the medicals look good, and if they don't, then obviously this wouldn't happen. But right now, the medicals look good. I'd make that deal because most of their contracts too come up at the end of this year, so they could be big players next year with a Dennis Smith and Michael Porter Jr.
Well, Dave. Jesus, we agree. Podcast is in full force. At the third pick, we both have the Hawks. Caught me off guard too. I don't know why I said Dad. Dave, at least in the We Agree podcast, we do have the Hawks. Weirdly enough, going with Jaren Jackson Jr. staying home and picking the forward out of Michigan State. What are the thought process? Why does he fit?
Ain't broke, don't fix it. He is one of the most impressive young kids in this draft. I think, honestly, the defensive presence down low, the fact that he can switch all the way down to threes and guard them out in the perimeter is incredibly impressive. Yes, if you pump fake, he will jump. Like, he needs to get the control down.
He's young, he'll learn.
That's the thing. Defensive IQ is there. He is super eager to learn. He played under one of the best coaches in college basketball. His offensive game, we got to see a little bit of, and I honestly think that he's a guy who can take a huge jump at the NBA level. I don't think he's your number 1 offensive weapon, but I think he comes in above expectations.
Well, and I think this is a team, too, that Atlanta, obviously I think the 2019 pick, if they're taking that from Dallas, that makes a lot of sense for them. And if Jaren Jackson's still available for them at 5, then this makes a ton of sense for them. But I don't know if he's going to be available there. And I think if you have the guy available that you want, and there isn't an offer like that where you're able to get a capital from a team like the Mavericks, for the 2019 pick, I think there's no really risk and there's no reason to move down. And with Jaren Jackson, you look at Lloyd Pierce and what he was talking about when he was introduced as the Atlanta Hawks coach: defense. This is something that, again, this is the best, probably right now, best defensive player in the draft, at least for this position. He's a guy that every metric loves him. BPM.
Every advanced stat.
Absolutely,
and then the
loves
pairing
Jaren
of
Jackson.
him and Jan Collins together would just be amazing.
And John is awesome offensively, fantastic. So every what's it called? Every negative about John Collins, Jaren Jackson picks up defensively. So I think that's massive for the Hawks. I think it's an easy fit for the Hawks if they are staying home. So I have the Hawks, and Dave has the Hawks going with Jaren Jackson Jr.
And I had him there right at 5. Same team, same pick.
And why did they pass on him?
Why did
Just
they?
because we're talking about the Hawks and Jaren Jackson right now. Why do they pass with him and you have him going with Mo Bamba?
No, I had him go with Jaren Jackson, And the whole reason was basically
my bad.
I'll take whoever I get, and in my situation, the Bulls like Mo Bamba, trade up to get him, and we can get
So you just
Jaren
felt
Jackson
like
at 5.
they equally valued Michael Porter, Mo Bamba. I'm sorry, not
I'm
Michael
taking
Porter,
just Mo or,
Yeah.
Because to me, the center is the thing, where John Collins is going to play my 4. Me personally, I would take Bamba or Jaren Jackson. So I'm looking at that going,
so one of them's going to be available?
Yeah, I'll trade to 5. The Bulls or the Grizzlies take one.
I just don't see Dallas giving up the 2019 pick. That's the thing with me. So that's
maybe 2020, just future. But
yeah, I just don't think there's going to be enough for the Hawks to move down. I understand that thought process of he's going to be there at 5, but will the Mavs really want to move up? And I think that's the biggest question. But Ricky, you have more movement at 4. Bulls come up with the Grizzlies and take Mo Bamba. The trade that you have there is Bobby Portis, the 7th, the future top 10 protected first, and the 4th. Now, that's the one thing I want to call you out on, is you're saying, I want this so bad. So, if you're talking about this as a Bulls fan, you have to at least give me solid reasons on why this makes sense for the Grizzlies. Because, yes, it makes sense for the Bulls. You want them as a fan. You want Mo Bamba. You'll give up pretty much anything you can. So why does Bobby Portis take this team, the Memphis Grizzlies, to the next level, and why do they move down and not possibly get a guy like Jaren Jackson Jr., like Luka Doncic especially, who might have the superstar ability to take over after Mike Conley and Marc Gasol?
And put on the hat.
The Doncic
this is a
thing,
moment.
I don't think this is a huge moment, but Sean seems to think it is.
I don't think it's a moment. I think people are going to call you out in the comments for being a Bulls homer, so defend it.
The Doncic thing is easy for me, where if the Sacramento and Atlanta, I saw his markets he'll pass on, he's definitely not going to want to come over to go to Memphis. So that's me, yet again, Grizzlies going, yeah, we could take Doncic, but will he really want to come over to play in Memphis? We're really free agent-wise, unless we really paid out for a Mike Conley that no one else was giving him a big deal, or a Chandler Parsons that everyone's like, oh, he's injured, but we'll throw out a big deal.
Okay, but
that's why I passed on Luka.
What's another thing, though, that they've talked about? What is Memphis' goal?
I just want to go
Memphis' goal is to make the playoffs. So at least that's going to help them.
And that's exactly where I'm going to, where it's, yes, they could take a Mo Bamba, but Mo Bamba's a 5. They already have Marc Gasol, and they're not moving him. Yes, Jaren Jackson can play the 4, can play the 5, but like Dave talked about when he talked about with the Hawks, he's young. He's going to need to mature, and the Grizzlies want to make the playoffs. So why not add a guy who's in his early 20s, who has been in the league, he's familiar with the NBA. Yeah, he's not in his prime, but he's going to be entering his prime sooner rather than later, and get a future pick out of it too. That's the thing that I'm looking at is let's gain a veteran that can help us, who's been in the league. We'll swap picks with the Bulls, and we'll get a future first out of it.
Okay. But you're talking about Bobby Portis as, again, a guy who's going to be a starter for you. Luka's going to be a starter. Luka can be a leader, and he's 19 years old. And I get it. He might not come over, but we're talking about this being a 5% chance. But again, this is a 5% chance of him not coming over. He's still coming over to an American team. He wants to be able to win. He wants to be able to have players around him. He's going to have a guy in Marc Gasol who made that transition over. He's going to have a team that is really poised to win. I think that is going to be something that helps Memphis at least push their way to getting Luka Doncic. I honestly do not believe that he's not coming over. Are there things that he wants? Yes. Are there things that he's going to bargain for? Yes. But ultimately, he's going to be an NBA player next year. And I think they would be absolutely stupid to not pass, to pass on Luka Doncic. Absolutely stupid. And I don't think it's worth the risk, like the Hawks were at least worth the risk, to trade back and possibly get Mo Bamba or Jaren Jackson, whoever's there. The best fit for Memphis is Luka Doncic, and he's fell into their laps there.
And another thing that this plays into, and why I made the trade for the Grizzlies to trade out, is we've talked about it on a past podcast. They've come out and said they're open to trading this pick to add players that are already here because, like you said, their main goal is to make the playoffs. So with the Grizzlies, I wonder, is it going to be the Bulls? Will it be this exact trade? Probably not. But I feel like for sure they're going to move out of this pick to get a veteran from some team that can help them win now.
Question for you. Do you think Bobby Portis or Luka Doncic would be a better help for them making the playoffs and performing in the playoffs?
Luka.
No, this is a Ricky. I want because it's his pick to define. Yeah. Your feelings were made very clear.
I know. I
agree with you, but
I think that both could help them in the playoffs. I think that they add differently to where if you get Luka, my question is, what do you do? Like, what do they do at the 4 then? Like, are they adding a free? It depends on who they add in a free agent. Do you take someone later with a later pick, or do you trade in for a later pick?
Chandler Parsons moves to the 4.
Whereas the Bobby Portis one gives you a 4, and you can just have Chandler Parsons plays where he's played regularly when healthy at the 3. So for me, that's why I would take, in this case, I'm taking a Bobby Portis, plus as the Bulls, Bobby Portis has been in trade rumors. So that's why I added him.
Or you go, just small ball and move Tyreek Evans to the 4. Or just move around and play positionless basketball. I mean, you're going to have, he might not resign, but I mean, you have Chandler Parsons,
Luka's 6'8".
6'8". I think Luka's 6'8".
As well, yeah.
Tyreek Evans is 6'8" to 6'7", I think, or 6'6".
Might be 6'6", 6'7".
I mean, they have the flexibility to move those guys from the 2 to the 4. Like, I think that, really locking in on positions here, Luka's more accomplished than Bobby Portis as a player. He's 19 years old.
And he's played in higher pressure situations.
Yeah. I mean, this is a guy that, again, no player has done what Luka Doncic has done in the second best professional league in the world. Bobby Portis is known for immaturity and punching his own teammate and breaking his face.
Got that 1-2 punch.
So, I mean, it's something where, again, yes, Bobby Portis has played in the league, but Luka might be more mature than Bobby Portis, even though he's younger. I just want to be able for you to be able to defend your pick of the Bulls trading up, just because I know people know us as Chicago, at least you as a Chicago Bulls fan. I just wanted to be able to sound like it's just not like, hey, I'm a Bulls fan trading up. That's the only reason why I'm at least bashing it and being harsh. If it seems like I'm being harsh on Ricky, that's the only reason why. Just because I want you to be able to at least because I know you believe that this is a fair trade. That's why I'm saying, again,
Give you
at least
the opportunity.
pressuring.
Yep.
Yeah. So, but Dave, you do have a trade. You have the Kloppers, good old Kloppers.
Yep.
Trading up with the Grizzlies. So same idea as Ricky. Grizzlies still moving back, but why does it make it different in your mind? Where the Grizzlies are bolstering their team more and also moving back, getting 2 picks.
So for me, it was more about adding more of that proven talent. While Bobby Portis is good, Tobias Harris is better. And then adding in Pat Beverly into this makes it really, really something special because this Grizzlies team, with the addition of Toby and Pat Bev, goes back to being a legitimate team in the West. Like, I know the West is so deep and it's going to be, again, the same way next year. But adding in someone who has the playoff experience of Patrick Beverly, who is a lockdown guard, and then you add in Tobias Harris, who can create for himself, was a 1 on a bad team basically, but can be a really good team player, and at the same time, like, he's in his prime. It's everything you want out of that position to fill in with Tobias Harris. Yes, you're moving back much further. You're going to go with the 12th pick instead of the 7th pick. But at the same time, the value you get back in player experience, in my mind, heavily outweighs that.
So why did the Clippers take on Chandler Parsons, though? Because that's one of the worst contracts, if not the worst contract in NBA history.
This gives the Grizzlies a chance to soak up some free agents. And the Clippers right now are in rebuild mode. So I know they were in that weird teeter-totter of
But they almost made the playoffs,
We almost made playoffs, but half our team was injured. So imagine what we could do when we're all healthy. Well, DeAndre Jordan's not going to be back. That's the biggest difference right there. This kind of gives them a chance to reload. You're going to go get Michael Porter Jr., who, again, highest upside in the draft potentially, especially from an offensive standpoint. So go get him. Go get your centerpiece moving forward, and then build around him. You have veterans who have great value for other teams who you can move off. In the meantime, you roll that Chandler Parsons contract, and you're not worried about it because you're in a West, and you look at the timeline of the other teams at the top, and you're like, yeah, by the time Michael Porter Jr. and our next couple picks are ready, we're going to be in business. Our timeline works much better than trying to go up there and be giant slayers and take down this Rockets team, this Warriors team. I mean, it's just, it seems like the smart play to wait it out and set their timeline right.
And the thing I find most interesting about your deal, they only give up one of the two.
Yes.
Like most of the trades that either I've talked about,
and this value-wise, they might need to give up both.
A lot of them have both of them going, so that's the thing I like the most is, hey, we get the 4, but we hang on to the 13, so we still get 2.
That's the question. Is the value there for Pat Bev plus 2?
And the reason why I think it is just because not only are you getting Toby, who's a better player than Chandler Parsons.
By far.
It's also the contract and the salary relief that you are giving Memphis because that gives you so much flexibility to add to this team.
They can guarantee Tyreek Evans is coming back at that point.
Yeah.
And then they can look to add another wing to that team.
Well, and it gives you a backup point guard and an extremely experienced backup point guard in Pat Bev. And it's something where Pat Bev, he wasn't healthy last year, but again, if he is healthy, Mike Conley isn't a bill of health, either a clean bill of health. So if Conley goes down, you still have an adequate point guard who could step into your starting lineup.
And he can mix it up between him, Tyreek, and Mike Conley. All three of them can rotate between because they are flexible.
Now, do I think Memphis is delusional, thinking that they can be a playoff team? Maybe. But do I think they can be competitive?
But do you think a lineup of Conley, Tyreek Evans, Tobias Harris... I'm missing a name.
Let me rephrase. Well, you're probably going to throw in Kevin Knox there possibly too, or
right,
because Chandler Parsons is gone. But the one thing that I was trying to say is, do I think that they can be a playoff team? Yes, but I think they're delusional if they think they're going to be competitive next year in the West, no matter the moves they make. But one thing that I want to mention for the Clippers is not only they're getting Chandler Parsons who can't stay healthy, they're also taking a big risk on Michael Porter Jr. trading up for a guy that again. Last year only played 3 games in college.
Absolutely true.
So with the Clippers, I mean, is it the right move or should they be going for someone safer? Why does Michael Porter Jr. make it worth the risk in your mind? You
got to swing for the fences because if you keep building around these mid-level picks in the teens, yes, there's a chance you hit on them. Yes, the unoccasional Donovan Mitchell thing happens, but more than likely, when you're drafting anywhere after the 10, when you hit the teens, you're getting guys who are, solid starters, role players, have a chance to bust out very rarely, but it does happen. So you go up and you get the guy who can come into this league and drop 20 in his first year. You get somebody who can be a dynamic offensive force, and you're bringing him into a team where the expectations are set where you're not a leader here. You're coming in with a veteran-heavy team, and you can learn from under these guys who have all been there and experienced the NBA. So I think like fit wise for that team, I think you have a good head coach in Rivers. I think that like honestly timeline wise, it makes the most sense for them. He can come in, learn, and then as they start turning over those pieces for other teams who are hunting for those, we just need this guy to set us over the top. Like they can turn that over in the next couple of years to get more draft picks back.
And that's why the only way I would see the Clippers taking a Chandler Parsons is, like you said, rolling it to where it's like, okay, the goal is to eventually trade you to another team, because the thing I look at is Ballmer, he's a guy that wants developing players, and that's just not Chandler Parsons.
But again, if you have, you're gonna have that contract. You have Danilo's contract. I mean, you're still gonna have, and the one saving grace is that you still got Lou Will for as cheap of a deal as you got him for. But you're still gonna have two bad contracts on that team in Danilo and in Chandler Parsons.
And the thing I want to jump to is I'll bring in with the Clippers is the question for me with them is I feel like they are going to make a trade this draft. It's who do they pick? Do they take a Michael Porter or and I've got the Bleacher Report article. Apparently, Chris Mannix on Yahoo Sports NBA podcast, on his podcast, Sham said that I think there's a lot of fluidity, and he talked about the Luka Doncic trade that the Clippers could trade up for Luka. I think they're going to trade up for someone. It's just going to be who's it for, Porter or Doncic.
And that's one thing is if Doncic is available, you're saying take Doncic. I know you.
Hell yeah.
So, but the thing is Doncic isn't available because you think so highly of him. So Ricky, I'll put you in at least in those shoes, because I know that you have Porter Jr. going a little bit higher, but again, Porter Jr. might fall to 4. You have Luka falling to 6. Those two are on the board for you. Who are you taking and why?
So if they're both
this is for
available
the Clippers.
for the Clippers,
This is for the Clippers.
I would take, if Porter Jr. was available, I would take Porter Jr. only because for me it comes down to the clean bill of health and everything that we have said.
Is it a clean bill of health?
That's really the only thing that worries me.
There's no guarantees in life.
It's just a report.
There's never guarantees.
And it's also just a report that he took a physical. No information has come out about what it revealed.
If you're for sure that he's going to pass out medically, he's the guy for me that we talked about at the beginning of the year. He's top 2 pick. So it's like he's the one for me to where.
Well, there's always the caveat when healthy.
I know, and that's the only thing of if that passes in your mind, if it does for the Clippers, I would take Michael Porter Jr. But I think this is a question where if you said Doncic, I would say, all right, I can't debate you there, because either one of these guys would be great for the Clippers.
And if you're watching on YouTube or if you're watching on Blog Talk Radio, hit us up at Most Valuable Podcast on Twitter. Let us know if the Clippers do want to trade. At Most Valuable Pod, thank you. On Twitter, if the Clippers are looking to trade up at 4, Porter Jr. and Doncic is available, who would you take for the Clippers? Because Dave and I are on the side of Luka because he is safer. And that's the biggest thing. I think he's got experience and he's safer. And with
the Clippers, notice how I didn't throw out the question of would he come over. If he was drafted by L.A., either of them, I'd come over for that.
Oh, yeah,
you're
of
in
course.
LA.
I mean, you're in L.A. And I think the thing is just, again, Doncic is safer. And the thing that scares me with Michael Porter Jr. is he might be the best player in this draft, and he might turn out to be the biggest superstar of this. But also in 3 years, his back can flare up again, and he could be gone. So that's the biggest worry that I have with Michael Porter Jr., where Luka's so safe that I wouldn't pass up the opportunity if I was the Clippers, especially going up against Michael Porter Jr. But let's move into my pick. I have the Grizzlies going with Michael Porter Jr. at 4. Pretty clear cut. Again, I think he still has superstar potential. The Grizzlies still are a team that can take on at least a risk like that in Michael Porter Jr. I feel boring because I don't have the Grizzlies trading out, but I still think if Michael Porter Jr. is healthy, he can be a star. And the one thing that I do want to look at those 2 games, the last 2 games that he did play in college, is the thing I loved that he was doing was calling for the ball consistently. Was he 100%? No. Should he be calling for the ball? No. But he wanted the ball. He wanted to be a superstar. And I think the Grizzlies not only set themselves up for the future, they also don't put a ton of pressure on him right away. Yes, this team might look at him and be like, hey, you're going to be you need to help us make the playoffs, but also you're going to be the 4th option behind Tyreek Evans, behind Marc Gasol, and behind Mike Conley. I think that's something that's going to at least be able to be something where you work him in very slowly. Maybe he only gets 20 minutes in his first rookie season, but also he's a guy that's going to have at least crucial 20 minutes. I think that's going to be something that's good for him.
Do you feel like it's like the 20 minutes are more so because of the health concerns. They're going to cap him.
I think they might. I think it'd be smart to
minutes restriction.
Cap him.
All right.
Especially if this is going to be your guy that's going to be the future. Maybe if they make the playoffs, they don't cap him.
Yeah.
But at least for the regular season,
I mean, we've
they're
seen
going to
like
play
Joel
him.
Embiid was on like the 20, then they got up to 30.
I think they're going to work him in slowly into the NBA. I think one thing too is, hey, maybe if he does show that he's healthy and 100% fine, then, by December, the cap minutes is off. But I think he's going to be a guy that maybe only plays 60 to 65 games in the regular season, only gets 20 minutes per game. But then when we hit the playoffs, that's where you're going to really unload him if they do make the playoffs. I think, again, he's a guy that we talk about his score and we talk about his length. He's a guy that can still add to your team right away. He might be, again, a guy at a fourth option that could turn into your one option down the road. And with his mindset, his calling for the ball, I think he could, hell, even turn into a guy like Donovan Mitchell, where he's just going to take over your team and he's going to end up being the best player in your team year one. But if the health doesn't pan out that way, maybe not. Let's move to 5, though. We have I have the Chicago Bulls, actually, trading up for the Mavericks. I'll talk about this real quick. The Mavericks received the 7th and 22nd. The Bulls received the 5th. The reason I did this is because, again, if I'm the GM for the Mavericks, I'm getting 2 players. And again, this is a team that I think needs players just to bolster around because this is a team with a lot of potential. Harrison Barnes is a really good starter. You look at Dennis Smith Jr., he was one of the best rookies last year. And if I am the Mavericks, I know that the Magic probably aren't taking a big. So I'm either getting Mo Bamba or Marvin Bagley at that 7 spot if I trade down. And I'm also getting the 22nd pick where I can go get another guard to pair with Dennis Smith Jr. And if I'm the Bulls, Marvin Bagley doesn't fit me. Trae Young isn't really a need. Mikal Bridges, he could fit, he could work. But again, Marvin Bagley has more potential. You look at Mo Bamba, has more potential than Mikal Bridges, Wendell Carter, Miles Bridges. So you go up, get Mo Bamba, get a rim-protecting center that can play along with Markkanen, Levine, and Chris Dunn. I think it's a perfect fit for Mo Bamba in Chicago. Ricky, I know you're going to talk about this a little bit.
For me, I was just going to throw out, there are only 2 guys I want in this draft. Where, I'd be happy with a Trae Young because I like Trae Young. I'd be happy with a Mikal. He's my safety blanket if we stay at 7. But the 2 guys I want to see in this Bulls draft is I either want to see us trade up for Mo Bamba or trade up for Michael Porter Jr. Get one of those players, move up to get them because neither of them are going to be at 7 for us.
And, I think that there's a possibility of him not being there for you, the Mo Bamba, and Dave, you clearly have that going where Mo Bamba goes to the Mavericks at 5.
I say, Sean, you're the one who sold me on. If the Mavericks are at 5, you take Mo Bamba. If they're at 3, you take Mo Bamba. If they're at 1, you take Mo Bamba.
Again, I think if you're at 5, you're the Mavericks, and you're not trading out, then take Mo Bamba.
That's my thought was, why pass up on the guy who has the physicals to be one of your key guys to work with Dennis Smith Jr.? You got your 1 year 5 locked down now.
I think Marvin Bagley does, though. Because Marvin Bagley, again, this guy's super athletic. And the athletic ability between Dennis Smith Jr. and Marvin Bagley is going to be absolutely filthy. And the ability to have Dirk Nowitzki pop off and sit behind that 3-point range where Dennis Smith drives, penetrates, and then has rolling to the rim with him Marvin Bagley Jr. And then on the outside, Wesley Matthews and Harrison Barnes. That's a pretty damn good starting 4. Sorry, 5. I forgot how much 4 as in Marvin
Dirk still
Bagley.
Counts.
But again, I think this is going to be a guy that really is able to contribute to you offensively. Yes, he might not be that good defensively, but he's a lot to work with there. And again, I think Bagley's a safer pick than Mo Bamba. Mo Bamba has more potential. So if you're getting a guy that's safer in Marvin Bagley at 7 and you're still able to penetrate and help this team's future at 22, I think that's more important than getting the player that at least probably fits your team best. Because I think Bagley still fits. He's safer, and you're helping your team out at that 22nd. Where I think the Bulls, you're getting a player that, again, has more potential and fits your team better than Marvin Bagley does.
Yeah.
So I think it's a win-win in that perspective.
Well, and that's like what Dave said, where if he's there at 5, that's the whole reason I had the Bulls jump up to 4. Because if the Bulls, in my mind, if they're going to get Mo Bamba, they have to do it before 5. He doesn't fall below the Mavericks. And in mind, the Mavericks moved up for Michael Porter Jr., but Hawks would be the same thing. It's great, we got to move up for one of them because if he's at 5, the Hawks will then take him at 5. And for me, that's the Bulls and Grizzlies expect that to be a trade that happens on trade night. I'm for sure that it's going to happen when the Bulls trade up for Bamba.
You can't just say for sure. What are you betting?
Oh, he's locking it in.
What are you betting?
For me, I am...
Sean lost a car.
I lost my car.
See, I can't put my car on the line. I don't know what
That's
I would
fine.
put
You
on
drive
the
us
line.
everywhere.
I'll put my tinfoil hat on the line. I love it so much.
No, you can't put the
No.
tinfoil hat on the
I'll
line.
put my
It's
tinfoil
a prop
hat
set now.
on the line.
Think about it.
I will. I don't know what I
Mo
do.
Bamba for the Mavericks. Why him over Marvin Bagley? Because you had Marvin Bagley still available.
Straight up fit. I think the Mavericks, they need a 5. They were kind of getting by using Dirk sparingly between the 4 and the 5. And obviously Nerlens Noel experiment did not work out well. And this is a guy who is just basically a better version of Nerlens Noel. Like, worst
Good
case
point.
scenario, you end up with Nerlens with an amazing attitude
Yep.
and someone who's actually got a really high basketball IQ. Everybody loved his interviews. Everything's been super positive about him. And, they, like Ricky bragged about earlier, the shot improvements that he's tried to show since the end of the season during workouts. I think there's a lot to like about him. And fit-wise for this team, like I said, lock down the 1 to 5. You fill in the middle, and he's someone who you can see an excellent pairing with.
I think that's huge too. That what you mentioned is the fact that he's willing to work. He wants to work to get better. And I'm not saying that none of these other guys don't. But again, we've seen this really shine from Mo Bamba, that he wants to work. He wants to get better. I know all these guys do end up wanting to, but there's different levels of this when
Right.
you are a professional. And Mo Bamba, so far at the young age that he is, so far has shined in that ability when we're looking at all these prospects, that he does want to work and he does want to get better. And him coming out and killing it in interviews so far, not only media but also in teams,
Yep.
I think it's huge. So again, I think the Mavericks wouldn't be losing too much going back and getting Marvin Bagley, but if they're staying home, take Mo Bamba.
Yeah.
I just think they don't stay home. I think the Bulls are going to make an offer they can't refuse in that 7 and 22, that they get the guard that they need as well. At the 5, Ricky, you do have the Hawks sitting there.
And
they take Jaren Jackson.
And we already talked about
We talked
Triple
about
J.
it again. Defense, good old Lloyd. Lloyd Pierce, new
Good
head
pairing
coach
with
of the
John
Hawks,
Collins and,
wants defense. Jaren Jackson, probably the best defender right now in this draft, so it makes sense. Let's go to 6. Ricky, the Clippers trade up with the Magic. Our Magic fans are going to absolutely love that. The Magic get Tobias Harris back, the 12th pick, and the 13th pick. The Clippers get Evan Fournier and the 6th pick to take Luka Doncic.
And you're going to correct me if I'm wrong. I got to apologize to Vegberg. Is that who it is?
Magic Vegberg.
I'm sorry, because Doncic is there, and he's like, oh, the Magic, and they don't take Luka Doncic.
Why don't they take Luka Doncic?
Well, the thing is I'm looking at for the Magic is some people might say, well, why are we giving up Fournier? And it's because
Fournier.
you look at it, and he's going to be under contract until 2021, and it's like, if I can dump that contract, get a Tobias Harris back, where really I will only have him
Aren't
for
they
the
both
year.
being paid $18 million?
Yeah, well, Fournier is like 17.
Okay, so it's
like
cheaper.
It's a little bit cheaper, but they're in the same ballpark. So really, you're dumping a longer contract for a shorter contract, and really the big thing is Luka going to help us right away, or can I get the 2-pick ammunition from the Clippers will really help. Saying, hey, I have a guy that could be done at the end of the year, give me cap space, and then I can get 2 younger players at 12 and 13 that can help us all the same.
Dave, what do you think about this trade?
I'm dying laughing because I think it's ridiculous. I'm sorry, Ricky. I know you come up with some creative stuff, but the Magic giving up their 2-guard and then getting another 3-4 guy who, I don't know, last I checked, they had a couple of those already.
They had the same guy.
I mean,
They had Toby
Well,
Harris.
they had Toby.
They
but
had Toby.
They don't do so great on that whole player development thing. I don't know if anybody's seen that, but basically they can draft players who are decent, but they just got to go somewhere else, and then maybe this is the secret. Just bring him back next year. Victor Oladipo coming back home, filling that 2-guard hole that
Sabonis
he
in
created.
5 years, yeah.
Sabonis, exactly.
Filling the 2-hole that he created.
I'm just saying, unless you're rolling out Jonathan Isaac at the 2, being a 7-footer.
The one thing that doesn't make sense in my mind, my eyes, is why are the Magic getting rid of a longer contract?
Yeah, I don't know.
That's the one thing that doesn't make sense to me. Why are they getting rid of a longer contract?
For me, it's just
because then they're gonna have to pay Toby.
Unless you do that, but it's also, hey, you know what? We're gonna try to. Does anyone want Evan Fournier there long term? Like,
He's a good shooter.
and I feel
he
like
stretches the floor.
And I feel like for the Clippers, it helps
Puts
out
up 17 a game.
because they're getting a guy who, Toby's not
Unless
bad,
you think
but
Aaron Gordon's gone. Do you think Aaron Gordon's gone?
he could, but no, I don't.
Oh, well,
think
then
so.
I don't believe.
Originally, the trade, I'll just say it. Originally, before the whole Doncic report, news, And then other trades that happened, the original thing I was going to have was a Kemba Walker move for the Magic here, for the Hornets then to move up and take Trae Young. But then I went with the Clipper one because, like, the Magic, you get picks, you get to dump that Fournier because it just opens cap room. Guys are gonna hit free agency. We don't develop players that well. Let's go get free agents.
So they're
next year.
gonna try to bank on their recruiting pitch of come to the Magic.
Come to the Magic.
I literally don't have anything after that.
Disney World's right over there, or Disneyland, whichever one.
That's about it.
That's a hell of a recruiting pitch.
I don't know. It's something where I think I think you're trying to. I think it feels like a little.
You're trying
bit
to force the story.
I think a little bit of a force, but again.
But if Luka's there at 6,
if Luka's there at 6, the Clippers.
Whatever the hell.
I think the Clippers are getting a steal then.
Yeah.
If Luka's there at 6, you're getting Evan Fournier, who I think is again. I don't think there's a drastic talent difference there, especially contract-wise.
But can help them out in a more veteran role.
No, he's going to help them out. I think it's a steal for the Clippers because then you put Evan Fournier at the 2. Lou Wills can still come off the bench. You still have 2 capable point guards, and then at the 3 you have Luka Doncic. I think it's just absolute steal for the Clippers. I think the Magic are getting screwed, unfortunately, in that one.
Which sort of would fit the Magic Thor, like how they've done it in the last couple of years.
And now the Magic get a chance though at the 12 and 13 though to take 2 players.
Here's the question I'll ask. Would the Magic feel that and then go add a future first and we're good?
Maybe, but I mean, again, I think the Clippers are going to try to push.
Not on that one.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, sure.
I think the Clippers are also trying to position themselves for a playoff.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to get the 12 and 13, and then like a 22nd or like a 20th in like future rounds. I don't think that's enough for Luka. Or Luka, again, in my mind, I think it's the player that you end up taking.
Yeah.
The fact that you're passing up Luka Doncic, who's a fit for the Magic. I think that's the biggest thing there is that you're passing up a fit in Luka Doncic. It's not really the Fournier Tobias Harris thing. It's just that you're passing up Luka Doncic, a guy who can be a future superstar for you.
But maybe the Magic know that they can't develop players. It's like we don't even.
But he's
want
already
this
developed.
guy. No. He's not developed enough.
He's not athletic.
Put him back in the microwave somewhere else. Like he can just give it another go around and then come back.
I don't know. I mean, like he's the safest pick right now, Luka Doncic. You literally can't fuck him up. Like unless you like send him in like on the teacups at Disney World like for a couple times, like a couple hours.
Maybe they know.
Maybe he'll be disoriented.
They know something about him that we don't. That he's a teacup addict. That like if he went to the Magic, he just spent all his time at Disney World. He wouldn't even show up to practice.
He's gonna be eating that Mickey Mouse ice cream.
He's a churro guy.
Could you see him with the ears?
Yeah. Luka's going to get big. That's all that's going to happen if he gets Disney World. But Disneyland, that's different.
So thick Luka?
Well, yeah, that's the thing. If he goes to LA, it's different. He doesn't like Disneyland. He likes Disney World. Anyways, at 6, I have the Magic go with Trae Young. I don't think they move. I think you need to go get a superstar. Again, I think Colin Sexton's going to be a better NBA pro than Trae Young. That's my hot take of this whole NBA draft, but I think Trae Young still has more superstar potential. Trae Young at 6, it's an easy fit. They need a guy who's going to be a dynamic point guard. They need a guy who's going to be a superstar for them.
Yeah, we've mocked it all year.
There. But you kind of have the same thought process, Dave, for Trae Young, but the Magic move.
And then I said, fuck defense. That's what's going on here. So the
Suns trading up. The
Suns
trade
swinging the colossal trade bat of all the picks that they can muster up.
The Suns get picks 6 and 35 from Orlando. Magic get picks 16, 31, a future pick from the Bucks in 2019, which was from the Eric Bledsoe trade. Then the future pick from the Suns in 2019, top 3 protected, and Marquise Chris. That's a big haul there.
And it might not be enough. They might have to throw in a 2021 from the Heat.
It's pretty crazy. And let's talk about the Magic. Why did the Magic do it?
The Magic do it because the Magic need picks because they have no identity right now. They could lose Aaron Gordon in the upcoming free agency. I know he's an RFA, but there's always that discussion of, what is your core? Right now, Ricky mentioned it earlier that Jonathan Isaac's the only safe guy on this team. Outside of that, I don't know that they have anybody that they really love. So I'm looking at this going, all right, this gives me more ammo to go get players and figure out what exactly am I trying to build as the new general manager of this team. Not new, but growing general manager of this team. So I think that this gives them enough ammo to fully reload a team with a bunch of young players and make sure that they can be built in his image. Because I know that they opted out of the Mario Hezonja contract right before Mario Hezonja was like, oh, I get consistent playing time? Mm-hmm. Well, I'll show you what I can do now. Surprise, surprise, he can play basketball. So he's probably leaving for sure. Point guard, they have none. I understand that, but by going back to pick number 16, there are still a couple point guards on the board. I think they can maybe land something in free agency, or maybe they can work out another trade with the Hawks and go get Teague. I'm sorry, not Teague. Schroeder, yeah, years ago. Jesus. They can go get Schroeder, who is disgruntled and doesn't want to play on that team. So, this gives them more options moving forward. At the same time, the Suns get the guy they love in DeAndre Ayton, and then the guy for the backcourt pairing of Devin Booker and Trae Young dropping threes from the stratosphere. What? Come on.
Well, Ricky, and I want to throw this to you because we've been consistently, I've been going to Dave for your thoughts on it.
I've been attacking you a little. Come at me.
What are your thoughts on Dave's trade? Do you think it's working out? Which team do you think wins this trade? Do you think it's even? What's your thoughts?
I like it. I honestly do. And the thing why is when it comes to the Suns, how many years is it just going to be they're a lottery team? We're talking about, the best thing we're talking about the Suns is who they're going to take in the lottery. Who are they going to take in the top 5?
Are they going to get Suns?
They win the lottery. Exactly.
Yeah.
And for the Suns, it does, like Dave said, they're swinging the trade bat of, you know what? We're going to the fences. We're getting DeAndre Ayton to be our big down low. We're going to get Trae Young to be our floor general out there and work with this young team. I mean, on the side of the Magic, it's do you want to basically go full draft-wise of, hey, this is what we're going to do, and we're just going to go full on into the draft, and could
to be fair, they've had good success in the past in the draft. They just can't develop.
And the other
they
thing
cleared
on
out
top
that crew,
of that
though, recently, so there's a chance.
You mentioned Aaron Gordon. The question is, do they then think either this year or next year moving Vucevic? Do they do a Vucevic
I think
trade?
they're thinking about moving Vucevic already.
For only one
what
person.
Move, though?
Draymond Green,
straight up.
Jesus Christ. Well, inside joke here if you're new to the Fast Break podcast. God, I love Magic.
That's
fans.
been going on for forever.
2 years now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. It's something where the Suns, that would be stupid. I mean, just Trae Young, Devin Booker, Josh Jackson.
Why not pull the
Dragon
trigger
Bender.
and
no,
get
I'm
your
saying
guy?
Stupid. Just the thought of it.
Them having that talent
Trae,
together?
Stupid good.
How bad the defense would be. How much space there would be for DeAndre Ayton to work inside. It'd be insane. Devin Booker, Trae Young,
they're
Josh
going to
Jackson,
give up about
Bender.
115 a game, but they're going to put up about 114 a game.
And their threes possession, per 100 possession, would be 50. Half the time they'd be shooting threes. It would be absolutely
incredible.
Ridiculous. I don't know.
You still got Josh Jackson. You still got T.J. Warren. You still got come on.
I think it's bold.
Oh, okay.
I think it's very bold.
Do I need to?
You deserve it.
I'm putting mine on.
I think you deserve
The reason why I'm putting mine on is this ain't going to happen. That's why I'm tinfoil hatting right now. Here's what's going to happen with the Suns.
I'll rock it.
They'll have to fire Igor for this in 2 years, but you'll figure it out. After the Rockets can still yet to beat the Warriors, their coach will leave and D'Antoni will come back to the Suns because this is a perfect fit. Yep. Spread the floor, shoot the three, big guy down low, and DeAndre Ayton, and the Suns
can stretch the floor still?
Back to their home.
Christ.
I just had to put on some.
That Mike D'Antoni.
Yeah,
D'Antoni.
All five of them just might sit behind the 3-point.
Exactly. Why even play in the paint? It's a new strategy.
I love how he's got the head on. He's doing the.
How much do you do you think this is happening at all, though, or do you think it's possible?
I think it's possible that they trade up, that they get another top 10 pick.
Well,
yes.
KG told me anything is possible.
In the words KG, I think that this is the year the Suns try to do something special because nobody wants to go there in free agency. They're going to throw a max contract at maybe Clint Capella, maybe DeAndre Jordan. And I don't know. They can fill in the center if they don't believe that if they believe Ayton wants to play the 4, and they don't think Bender or Chris can cover at the 5 and have that double pairing. So I don't know.
Just imagine how this is gonna look on YouTube with you just curled up in a ball, don't let the aliens penetrate my mind.
I love it because he's doing that to keep the headphones on his ears.
I was trying. Look, they're gonna throw money around. They're trying to make a splash. They're trying to make this the Suns team. Like Ricky said, how long have you been stuck in the middle, at the bottom to the middle?
In the middle.
You gotta do something.
I understand it from the Suns' side. Yes, there's gonna be no defense played. But
you have one of those potentially potent offenses in the same theory of Steph Curry and Klay Thompson. Well, I've got Dev Booker and Trae Young
and DeAndre Ayton on the inside.
And now I've got DeAndre Ayton in the inside, and
maybe Dragon Bender, who turns into the
and
next
Josh Jackson, who continues to improve all last year.
Yeah, I mean, again, I understand from
and
the
TJ
Suns.
Warren come off the bench. Tons of disrespect,
and I love
because you love him.
But it's one thing where I just don't know with the Magic. Like you have the ability to draft a superstar.
But you're the Magic.
And you've been screwing up drafting superstars. You traded all of them.
But see, don't screw up in drafting them. That's the point, Sean.
I think it's something, and I forgot the camera was even shutting off, so we're gonna back up for the next picks. But with the Magic, again, you have Trae Young there, and I get it. You're gonna be getting a ton of assets down the road, but this is a team that I think you just need to finally just get a guy and take another shot and try to get a superstar. And I think Trae Young's that guy. And I think you pair him with Aaron Gordon, you pair him with Jonathan Isaac and Evan Fournier. That could be a pretty potent offense out there.
And Bismack Biyombo.
And Bismack Biyombo as well, because we know that guy is so good offensively. But I think it's something where the Magic, I think you got to play it safe here. And maybe it is playing too safe, trying to take all of those picks. I think just stay at your spot. But I'm also an old man, and I don't like trades. So at the Magic, I understand where you're coming from. I understand where you're coming from the Clippers. If Luka's up there, I think the Clippers are going to throw everything that they can to get Luka. I just think the Magic stay home and take Trae Young. Let's move on. Past the Magic, past number 6. We're already an hour into the mock draft. And we still have, I think, 4 more picks here.
So you guys want content.
This could be a 24-hour podcast.
We still have, Jesus Christ. We still have more trades to get to as well. But before we do that, again, don't forget to check out patreon.com/mostvaluable if you want to be like Zani, Jake, or any of the great patrons that we have and be on a podcast. Check that out, that $10 tier. Also, don't forget to support us at mostvaluablepodcast.com if you don't want to miss anything, or if you want to buy some t-shirts. We have those up on our store. But let's jump into
53 more picks to go.
Pick number 7. Jesus Christ, the way you put it the way you put it that way is it's terrifying. But at 7, I have the Mavericks with the trade with the Bulls. Again, if you missed out on that, the Bulls trade the 7th and 22nd to the Mavericks. Mavericks trade the 5th pick, so it's a 7-22 for 5 swap. The Mavericks have Marvin Bagley. Again, I love the athleticism that he's going to bring to this team. Harrison Barnes, Marvin Bagley, Wes Math, and Dirk Nowitzki being shooters on the outside, and obviously Dennis Smith Jr. I think that is a very athletic and modern day NBA starting 5 outside of Dirk, but you're not going to get rid of Dirk, and even then Dirk can still shoot it from the outside. I still like this for the Mavericks, and you're still picking up those 2 picks back in the back end of the draft. And I think that's going to help you at least help fill out the depth at the forward position and the guard position. So that's why I like the trade for the Mavericks. I don't think it's too much I need to defend there. But Ricky, at 7. What you got? Because I can't even think right now.
To be honest, I'm looking at my mock, and I don't know what I said earlier, but I think something happened with the Google sheet. I think my mock got messed up because I'm looking at Wendell Carter, and I'm going, why would they take Wendell Carter if I had them get Bobby Portis in the Bulls trade?
Because then you have Bobby Portis, Wendell Carter, and Gasol.
And that's what I'm thinking.
Gasol leaves?
So here's what I'm going to do. Because of it,
I think you can rock that.
I'm going to keep Wendell Carter there because that's what I said earlier. But the other pick I was thinking was Mikal Bridges. Because you know what? You got Porter in that. You can go at Mikal to be your 3. But really for me, like Wendell or Bridges should be the pick here for the Grizzlies. Either whether you think you go Bobby and Wendell kind of together at the 4 then, or if you go with a Mikal to be your 3 and D guy. Because, like I said, Bulls-wise, for this Bulls homerism in the back, if we don't get Porter, we don't get Bamba, I want Mikal Bridges in my Red Bulls uniform so I can buy it day one after the draft is over.
And to be fair, like Wendell Carter, like he's also
he
5.
Could also play the 5, yeah.
Like don't discount him as only 4 because he's definitely a 5.
To be honest, I've also been on the train of they should have gotten rid of Marcus Saul and not Fizdale, so there's that as well.
Yeah, so I think there was a little bit of that in there. I don't know. I think that
I just looked at it. I'm like, what was I doing? I don't know. We'll have it.
You did have the right there the Grizzlies going with Colin Sexton. So then you flipped it a little bit a while ago. That was June 7th. You had him going Colin Sexton. That was with a trade with the Bulls, I think. I don't remember what the trade was. But you did have him going Colin Sexton at some point. But now you have him going with Wendell Carter Jr. Again, I think Mikal Bridges could be a nice fit as well, obviously. On the outside. But again, I mean, if you do have Tyreke Evans, who's going to be around there for a little bit longer, if you do have Michael Porter Jr., who's going to be around there for a while, Marcus Gasol might not be. And if you want to move away from him, Wendell Carter could step in. Again, Wendell Carter, I think, is a guy that is not getting a ton of credit because he's kind of like Mikal Bridges, where he does a lot well. He's a very well-rounded player, but he isn't really a sexy pick. He's not a Michael Porter Jr., who was the number 1 player out of high school, who could be the next 6'11" shooter from the outside. He's not Marvin Bagley, who's, again, a 6'11" power forward who's a monster. DeAndre Ayton, who's 7'1" with a 7'3" wingspan, who's the most freakish athlete we've seen coming out of the draft and coming out of college in years. players, or a Luka Doncic who's one of the most experienced players, he's a very good player. And maybe people are scared by that because he might not have the potential to be a superstar, but he has the potential of being a very great player or a very good player. And there's not really
the floor there is pretty high.
Yeah, and then the ceiling there might be limited, but again, he's definitely
Al Horford is always the one you want to hear.
That's what I'm saying, though.
So
I mean, if he turns
pretty
into Al
good.
Horford, pretty damn good pick.
Yeah.
And one of these guys is gonna bust out at some point.
Incredible,
Dave,
yeah.
Let's look at your pick at 7.
Sure.
You, I keep forgetting.
Utah
7.
going.
Utah. Oh yeah,
This
I
is
forgot.
the Utah deal.
This is where Utah comes in. Utah receives this pick number 7 and Cristiano Felicio. Chicago receives pick number 15, Alec Burks, a future first-round pick from the Utah Jazz.
And
a lot
that
of
one-
protected. And turns into future first? No.
Yeah, that's where I wasn't sure. I was like, I don't know value-wise if they have to give us 2 firsts to move up because they are eating that Cristiano Felicio contract that we didn't want, that we gave them because we're geniuses with Gar and Pax. So maybe it's just the lotto protected turns into a future unprotected, or maybe it's another protected something down the road. Either way, the Bulls, like you said earlier, you alluded to, the Marvin Bagley fit next to Lowry Markkanen is not ideal. You end up with 2 offensive bigs. Neither one of them can play a look at inside defense around the rim. So you look around and you're like, all right, we're trading back. Let's see what's out there. And I go back to Utah. Utah is a team who would love to have someone who is a high energy guy who can run the floor, add a ton of offense because defensively, this team is stout. Like, this is one of the best defensive teams out there. And then him next to Gobert,
And the athleticism you're going to get from him and Don Mitch, and then also the speed that Ricky Rubio, Don Mitch, and Bagley can present.
And then jumping Joe Jingles.
Pretty damn good. And Joe Ingles on the outside. I mean, I understand why Utah does it. But
it's a good fit, and it adds offense to a team that desperately needed it during the playoffs where they ran through chunks where it was just like, where is the scoring coming from if it's not Donovan Mitchell?
Yeah, and we've talked about Marvin Bagley possibly coming in and just putting up 19 and 10.
Yeah, so and that's the thing. Like, if he falls here, in mine, he fell here, he has the value of a top 3 guy. So Utah, loving the idea that, we can need a little contract. We'll give you Alec Burks. Like, he didn't, pan out exactly how we expected. But now we get a guy who can be a huge addition.
And Ricky, what I want to do is keep Dave's trade in mind and put yourself into your VidCon hotel. All right.
Okay.
You and Dave are there watching the NBA draft.
This would be great.
At this time, we'll be at the reception, the industry.
I'm not going.
Reception.
I'm watching the
draft. You're not going. Say you're watching the draft because that's what you should be doing.
Yeah, I'm gonna be, Sean. Don't worry about it.
And you see on the screen, Bulls at 7. They're ready to pick. They trade with Utah. They receive the 7th pick, and they move back to 15. What are your thoughts on that? Well, technically, they're going to be moving back to 21 because of a deal with Dave. Dave has the
a secondary
deal back up to 15.
I'm pissed.
But they move back to 21. What are your thoughts?
I'm pissed. At that point, if Porter's off the board, if Bamba's off the board, I eat it and I take Mikal Bridges because, like, with this one, I get what you're trying to do. You're trying to dump Felicio's contract. You're trying to move some picks.
Felicio.
Yeah, I always say like that.
That's a nickname.
Felicio, I think, is a little bit different.
Just roll with it.
We are
But
demonetized now that you said Felicio.
The thing that I look at is I'm looking at that going, why? Why are we doing that?
Because
Why
you
are
don't
we moving
love
back?
anybody else. You wanted Porter, you wanted Bamba, you didn't get it done. You didn't move up. They both got taken. So now I don't have anybody else I love.
Yeah.
So why not go for value? I can get Cap on my team, which is valuable because I can already get a max. Maybe I can make something interesting happen on this team and speed up our timeline. And I'm still getting a first round talent. And in my mind, I'm going, we can come back.
The future picks are nice, but like lotto protected, let's be honest, Jazz will make the playoffs again, so we'll get that pick.
Yeah, so we'll get like a 20 through,
The only thing I like, and maybe the reason why I'd be pissed is because I have already been on the side of, like I said, move up for one of the 2 guys you want. If you haven't done that, you failed, in my mind.
I think it's going to be something huge if the Bulls do move back all the way from outside of the top 10 into the 22nd. It doesn't
Wouldn't
really
be the first time we move back.
But it doesn't matter really.
The Tyler Hansbrough trade we moved back?
But I don't think he moved back that far.
No, but we moved back with
I think
the
that's the biggest thing is, again, knowing how many Bulls fans watch our videos, knowing how how crazy living in Chicago Bulls fans can be. That happens. The United Center might be burned down before the pick's even thrown in. I mean, like that's the thing. It's like Do I understand what you're doing, Dave? Yes. And do I understand how it works for Utah? Hell yes. I think Utah is the winner in this because, again, you have now Rudy Gobert, who's one of the best defenders in all of the NBA, still young. You have Donovan Mitchell, who's now a superstar in the NBA, and he looks like one of those guys that's going to be working consistently to get better. He's just one of those guys that's a great personality. And then you're adding Marvin Bagley, who's a guy that, again, is going to add so much depth to this team. And you really have a big three. Maybe it's not a crazy big three like Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, and Klay Thompson, but these three guys can develop into something that we've never seen before.
Clippers-esque.
Clipper-esque in DeAndre Jordan, Blake Griffin, and Chris Paul. I mean, it could be something like that. So it's interesting what you're doing with Utah there. But again, with the Bulls, it's just like, how much does the future mean when you have the ability to rebuild? You just tanked pretty much to get this 7th pick.
They failed the tanking.
They failed the tank.
They failed tanking.
They failed the tank.
Just to correct,
caved to the league.
I know when I wrote this, it was like one weird massive trade that I broke up into two. So yeah, it's definitely Chicago to the 21st pick, and then it would be two future. It would be the two futures from the Utah Jazz.
And Chicago ends up moving up, but we'll get into that when we hit it the 11 through 20.
And by the way, I was wrong. The Tyler Hasbro was not a trade. I just wanted him to the Bulls that year. I remember that.
Oh, great.
That was just me being wrong.
Psycho T took him.
But I think it's just something where, again, there's not going to be there's not it's the fall that they have is too big, and I think that's the biggest thing with the Bulls. Yes, they have the ability to trade back up, but I just don't think it's going to happen unless it is a 3-team trade where they do get that 15th pick right away.
I was like $800,000 off of that.
Yeah.
Literally that close. So that's why I had to be broken into two.
And we will move now into the 8th pick. I do have a trade, so I'm going to throw it out there. 76ers are now picking at 8. They trade with the Cavs. The 76ers receive the 8th pick. The Cavs receive the 10th, 38th, and 39th picks in the second round. 76ers have 6 total picks in this draft. They have the capital to move up. And Cleveland, with it possibly being, the truth that LeBron James is going to be leaving after being swept in the finals, they might be looking to get younger, get players. And the 76ers, their best fit right now on the board is Mikal Bridges. The Cavs are going to be able to get capital. I think it's an easy flip for them. 76ers get the guy that they want, Mikal Bridges. He's going to be a 3-and-D player that's going to be able to be controlled, unlike, like a Rocco or a JJ Redick.
Rocco's already locked down for 4
he
more
is.
years.
But I'm saying, like, again, he's much cheaper than Rocco.
Yeah.
And then, JJ Redick, you're not going to have him locked up. Mikal Bridges, 3-and-D guy, possibly one of the best defenders coming out of this draft, at least in the forward position, and he's a good 3-point shooter. I think he's a great fit for that 76ers team, pairing him on the outside with Joe, Ben. I think it's, great. And the Cavs, again, with that unknowingness of what LeBron's going to do, you still stay in the top 10, and you get 2 players later in the draft where the 76ers don't really need those players. They'd rather have the guy that's going to quality fit them.
And the thing I like most about your trade is 2 things. First off, I have Mikal going to the 76ers also, just 2 picks later. But also, your trade hits the 2 biggest questions about each of these teams. One, for the Cavs, it's basically now it's more clear than it was before. After the finals, all right, how do we gear up for post-LeBron? Because, yes, there's a chance. When I say everything's on the table, staying in Cleveland is still on the table. Like, we don't know what's going to happen. But do you really think that is going to happen? So do you try to get picks to then say, oh, we're going to get younger? I think of the 76ers, I was thinking mainly doing this full 2-round is if they want to get into the sweepstakes for LeBron James, why am I going to just be drafting, and bringing in, they're lower contracts, but why am I going to be drafting, bringing in players? And could we see the 76ers overall in this draft try to ship picks out or take picks together to move up and get 1 pick? So
that's
they're
what
not
I think they're
taking
doing.
a ton of
You're
picks
taking 3 picks to get Mikal Bridges.
Exactly.
I think that's the biggest thing with them.
Because they're also in the LeBron deal, which they'll need cap to do
and
that.
I think one thing with the Cavs is not only you're planning for post-LeBron, but also you're not taking that big of a fall where you can have any of the 3 guys that are from 8 to 10, Mikal, Miles, Wendell Carter, even Colin Sexton, Kevin Knox, that fit this team, where I think the best fit for the 76ers is very clear in Mikal Bridges. He's going to bring that 3-and-D for you. I think that's the reason why 76ers do it, because they have the ability to do it. The Cavs want to at least fill out this team, this roster. They might not have the cap to do it if LeBron does come back and take a max, But then again, you're going to have to move some of these players. Rodney Hood might be one of those players. Jordan Clarkson should be one of those players. So if LeBron does stay, you're at least bringing in youth like Miles Bridges, who I take a little bit later, and then also 2 second-rounders. That one is a drafting stash, I'm pretty sure, and the other one is a guy that's going to step in right away and possibly give you minutes off the bench. I think this just helps both of these teams because not only of the unknowing future of is LeBron going to stay with one of these teams, but also it's the Cavs need depth, 76ers need another piece.
Another wing.
So
you just say it.
I think that's the thing with the 76ers.
Yep.
At 8, Dave, what do you got going?
At 8, I've got the Cavs staying home and taking Colin Sexton. Add the guy who has the potential to be a stud. Like he has star written on him. We watched what he did at Alabama. He's a one-man wrecking crew. He's like a reckless, better version of Eric Bledsoe at times. Like
He'll go 1-on-5.
He will. I mean, 3-on-5, but still same.
Well,
same
I mean,
diff.
it was him versus 5 in that last few minutes. Let's be honest.
Fair enough. Point being, you go for someone who can kind of fill that void of LeBron James. Worst case scenario, best case scenario, you go for a primary ball handler to add alongside LeBron James because he needs help. And why not go for somebody who can actually score? Something that the Cavs literally couldn't do for large portions of the playoffs this year. So, I think all in all, perfect fit for him guard wise. It fills a need, and it's somebody who would totally be embraced in Cleveland.
Well, that's why for me, I got what you're going with, Dave. I got the point guard. I'm going with a different one though, and I know yours is off the board because the Suns got bold. Trae Young's the guy because even if LeBron leaves, you can build around this guy and he can become a centerpiece for your team.
Yeah.
But also if LeBron stays, hey, LeBron, we know we couldn't beat Steph. So let's get the guy people are calling the next Steph who brings not just the three-point shooting, but can also be a facilitator. And we know that you have said you want to play a little bit more off-ball
He wants to play with playmakers too, yeah. So
let me pair you up with Trae Young, an up-and-coming playmaker.
I think the best scenarios for the Cavs is Trae Young falls to them or Michael Porter Jr. falls to them. Those are the 2 best scenarios, or Mo Bamba. Like, those are the 3 best scenarios for them.
Otherwise, trade back?
No, I think those are just the 3 best scenarios for them.
Does the lack of defense for Trae Young scare you if you're the Cavs? I mean, could you imagine the finals? Steph Curry with even less defense on him?
I mean,
is terrifying.
But also, I mean, let's just look at it this way. I mean, offensively, like
he's not going shot for shot with anybody.
I don't know what's gonna like. The thing is like Jordan Clarkson sucked offensively, defensively. He sucked
everywhere.
So it's something where the
Cavs' game plan wasn't the best either.
No, they were horrible. It was a horrible.
Ty Lue's not exactly a great coach.
But the thing is like I don't see where they can get worse. Yes, George Hill is a better defender.
And
than
very
Trae
good
Young.
shooter still,
yeah.
efficiently.
But I still think you can work him in, and you could find ways to have George Hill on the floor and Trae Young on the floor.
Kyle Korver was run off the floor because he literally couldn't defend.
Run off the floor.
And then he couldn't shoot at the same time, which
wasn't a good defender. I mean, they don't have an answer for Steph, no matter what. I don't think they're going to get an answer here at all.
If you want Colin Sexton, who is available on Ricky's board still, that's my question, is if they're both available, you think the better facilitating and three-point shooting beats out somebody who is a two-way player?
Yes.
And more physical?
I think I think the physicality is definitely going to play into this, but I think the biggest thing is that you're not going to slow down the Warriors' offense. Yes, at some points they might have bad nights, but I think it's more of Steph having a bad night than being slowed down, being stopped. I don't think Colin Sexton's going to be a Steph Curry stopper.
No,
where I think the offensive gain that Trae Young could bring to the Cavs, I think that's going to be greater than what Colin Sexton could bring defensively. And I think also look at the shooting that Trae Young could bring. If LeBron's creating and Trae Young's wide open, he's not missing those threes. Where Rodney Hood, Jordan Clarkson, George Hill, K-Love, we're missing those threes consistently. Yeah. And if Trae Young's hitting those shots on the outside, which Colin Sexton really can't do, at least to the level of Trae Young.
Not an efficient level.
That's going to open up everybody else a little bit more. That's going to put more focus on everybody else. So I think that's the thing where I like Trae Young better in that Cavs scenario than Colin Sexton because he does more offensively for you. And even though defensively the Warriors were able to dominate the Cavs, the biggest thing also too was LeBron wasn't stepping up on KD, and KD was able to do whatever he wants, and that means they're gonna have to focus more on KD, which opens up Steph a little bit more. So I think if you're able to have LeBron be a better defender on KD, which he hasn't shown he's been able to do over the past 2 years, That's more of an issue that I think you need to fix rather than, the guy that you're going to draft, try to stop Steph Curry. So that's, I think, what it boils down to. Ricky, you talked about yours.
I did. I had the Cavs with Trae Young.
You talked about yours, Dave, didn't you? At 8?
Yes.
I'm trying to forget. This has been the longest podcast ever. So we're going to 9. The Knicks. New York Knicks. Ricky, we'll go to you. The Knicks on the board. Who you got them going with?
I'll be completely honest. I had them go with Kevin Knox. I wanted them to trade up for Trae Young so bad. The thing is with this team, they have nothing that other teams would want. I'm like, oh, Tim Hardaway. No, nobody wants that. Oh, Courtney. No, nobody wants. Like, they have nothing that teams would want.
Disrespectful, Courtney Lee, first of all.
Well, I mean,
I'd take Courtney Lee.
No other team would want Courtney Lee.
Which team is that, Sean?
Over a Trae Young. And that's why I wanted them to trade up, but I had to go with Kevin Knox. Go with the wing. Go with the more developing wing that we can say, hey, we're not going to compete this year unless we get LeBron, but it's not going to happen. I'll take Kevin Knox. We'll develop him. We'll move on to the next draft and wait when KP becomes healthy.
I kind of went along the same line and mindset, but I didn't go with a wing because I think that you look at this Knicks team, they're going to be bad in the upcoming year.
They could be bad.
And they have their pick. So I think the thing is, and I talked about this before, I think if they go with Wendell Carter, who's going to be able to fill in for Enes once Enes leaves, and then you pair that next to Kristaps, that is going to then leave you to take a guy like R.J. Barrett if you are number 1 overall. I know, obviously, being number 1 out of high school means nothing, but R.J. Barrett looks legit.
No, that's sort of the same theory behind my bullshit too.
Yeah. So I mean, if you have the 3 pick available, if you have the 3 position open and you have the number 1 pick, you're taking R.J. Barrett.
Yeah.
I think that's a pretty damn nice thing.
So is that why you put the tinfoil hat on?
Frank. No, I put it on just because I said the Magic.
Okay.
I
was confused.
But I think it's with the Knicks is, again, you're going to have Frank out there. You're going to have KP. Then adding Wendell Carter Jr. That's such a young core. And then you got a guy like R.J. Barrett who's super dynamic. I think that could be absolutely disgusting. I think this is a pick for the future. This isn't the Knicks pick to solidify, their big 3. This is the pick to at least bolster the 3 and at least give Kristaps and Frank more help. I think that's the biggest thing with the Knicks. What they're doing here is drafting for the future. Yes, Miles Bridges would fit at that 3 spot, but I think you can get a bigger upgrade later on. And also Tim Hardaway can still play that 3 for the next year. So I don't think the 3 is a position they need to address right away. Enes might not even be on the team this year because I think he does have an option. But even if he takes that up,
a player, I believe.
Yeah, even if he takes that up, he might be gone next year. So I think that's the biggest thing with the Knicks is fill in that position with Wendell Carter, who's going to be able to facilitate for Kristaps, for Frank, and then for a guy like R.J. Barrett if you draft him next year. I think that's going to be the biggest thing for the Knicks is take a guy that's going to help you down in the future rather than the upcoming year in Kevin Knox. And yeah, Kevin Knox can develop, but again, I don't know if Kevin Knox at 9 is the right slot there. And Dave, you have pretty much the same line. I think you have Wendell Carter going the next year.
I also have Wendell Carter going there, and I think fantastic fit first year too because, like you said, guess what? Enes is going to be your 4 or 5 out there. You can roll Carter right next to him because KP's out injured. Yeah. As soon as he comes back, guess what? You run Wendell off the bench pairing with either one of them. And then if Enes decide, if Wendell can live up to like crazy expectations, Enes again re-signs with them after for like a long-term contract. You can roll him off the bench and he can go back to being the dominant scorer off the bench so you don't miss a note. Like I think that lineup-wise, he is a fantastic fit. I've got concerns about Knox's growth and, will he ever be a elite ball handler? Some of the comments that came out about his play style where, you would see him become less engaged unless he got like physically into it. Like he's got to learn to build up that body a little bit and get him really motivated. And that's one of the things that I feel like that's why he would fall a bit. And if I'm the Knicks, I'm going, why would I not want the perfect big to pair with Kristaps Porzingis? I want to make sure my best player has all of his gaps covered by our next draft pick. Like it's perfect. And Sean, I agree as far as next year, they're going to be at the top, but my thing was more for the Bulls to do that. You kind of sniped that out from me, but that's fair. That's fair.
I think the thing with Wendell Carter, though, is just that he's safe. He's a very safe pick. Where Kevin Knox, it's going to take a lot to develop him, and you're already doing that with Frank. Frank's taking a lot to develop.
That's why I didn't want to stab at another point guard or shooting guard potential person.
Only guy that I like there is Trae Young. If we're talking guard,
if he's available, you would take
Trae Young to the Knicks. Okay. And I've talked about this before because Frank, we've seen him already in his first year be a dominant defender.
Yep.
You pair that with the worst defender and Trae Young.
You can kind of cover up for
as
it
a
a little
guard.
bit.
He can cover up.
Or you
It's
go
gonna
the
be
other way.
Nice bang
and
bang.
you get Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and you defend everything.
Possibly.
You don't,
Maybe
you don't score through the guards, but you defend everything.
you build a wall.
Grit and grind, baby. The
Build a
Build a
Fizdale.
fucking wall.
Yes.
Anyways.
Take that for data.
Move on to the final pick. We'll wrap this up in a whole hour and 30 minutes for 1 through 10. Ricky, at number 10, you have the 76ers going with whom?
I'm not going to elaborate much on it because much of it is just why you had him trade up for this.
Yep.
Mikal Bridges. And the whole thing is not only is he a Villanova-Hova guy, so he stays in Philly, but it's a wing that can play defense on the outside and shoot from the three.
I'm going to just drop a...
I don't know why I said it like that. Three. I don't know. I was elaborating there, and I was like, oh, this is not going to end
Before
well.
that, I was just about to say ditto, but then he dropped that 3.
Or,
so I feel like I got to
drop
explain
some
myself.
trays on you.
I feel Jesus. I feel like I got to explain myself for picking Mikal here as well then, because I also have the 76ers taking Mikal Bridges. It's what we saw in the playoffs last year. It's a reactionary pick. I think that the biggest takeaway from their series against the Celtics was that teams who are switchable, who have multiple guys between 6'5" or 6'4" and like 6'9", they just don't have enough answers to that. When they switch around, Robert Covington is an extremely streaky shooter. Yes, as the season averages out, but during playoff games, when it goes crucial and he goes cold, you need someone else who can step up and take that 3 and D-mantle from him. And what better person than Mikal Bridges?
Take the mantle from him.
Yep.
I think the one thing that I looked at is obviously, again, I think Mikal Bridges fits perfectly for 76ers. That's why they trade up and get him. And that leaves the Cavs at 10, taking Miles Bridges from Michigan State. And I think it's an absolute fantastic fit. Miles Bridges was a guy I was huge on last year.
Yes.
And the thing is that there's other players that always catch your eye, but Miles Bridges got better. And that's the thing is he took a year back. At Miles Bridges, he became a better shooter. I mean, at the line, he became more efficient, 85%. He didn't improve his three-point percentage, but also he still stayed around the same, which is 36%. And I think that's still going to continue, where he's now becoming a better shooter overall. I think that's going to continue. And his body's great. He's a guy that's still a freak athlete. He's a guy that you can use his big body and drive. He's a great athletic guy who can really attack the rim. I think one thing, too, is that he's also a guy that might be able to bring defensive versatility to this Cavs team. And if LeBron stays, that's so crucial. Where on switches, you're not going to worry too much like, oh, well, fuck, now we got K-Love on KD. Miles Bridges might not be great right away as a rookie, but I think he might be able to, at least down the road, bring more defensive versatility to this team. I think offensively, he's a great addition. I think offensively, and he can develop into a great defender. If LeBron leaves, I think Miles Bridges could turn into a guy that really could be a possible number one. I think he's a guy that, again, he improved this season. He was a leader this season. And I think the biggest thing is that he is very well-rounded offensively. Not a great passer, but I think that's the only downfall that he does have. Not a great shot creator for himself, so he won't beat a ton of ISO, but if he's playing with LeBron James, that's not going to matter too much. And then defense, he does enough to at least help this Cavs team if LeBron's there. And then if he is the only solo guy on this Cavs team, he's going to have time to develop that shot creation, work in ISO, and then also it's going to depend on how this team's going to change if LeBron leaves. We don't really know. I think Miles Bridges is the best available player to really help this team going forward.
Now, I've got a stupid question for you.
Yes.
Isn't he just like a little bit smaller Jeff Green?
Is he as inconsistent as Jeff Green?
Well, I think one thing is
like body shape, what he can do on the court for you.
I think it's a pretty fair
That's the only thing
comparison.
I was thinking was like,
I know Jeff Green has the hilarious consistency.
Is he going to be more consistent than Jeff Green?
But at the same time, Jeff Green, when on, can really give you a lot. So that's the thing. Like when I see him, it's hard for me to go like, that's a guy who can be a one on my team and lead us because he's like. He's a little small. He's small to be the 4. He's a little big for the 3, but I think he fits a 3. And then it's, what can he bring to my team every day? Because we saw him. I asked the question, did he get better? Because statistically, advanced stats, yes, but on paper, if you look at like his contributions to Michigan State this year, the numbers don't jump out at you. It doesn't make you go, wow, that guy is being a leader
I mean, he still averaged 17 points per game, 7 boards, had about 2.7 assists per game, shot 46% from the field, 36% from 3, and 85% from the line. I mean, he hit big shots. He had a big one, I think, against Wisconsin. These are the final thoughts, too. I think the camera's going to die on a little bit, too, and we'll move into 11 through 20. But I think Miles Bridges can be a guy that has put everything on his shoulders before on a team and prove that he can help his team. Yes, they didn't go all the way in either of his years, but and yeah, they choked against Syracuse, but again, I think it was something there. There's something there with Miles Bridges where I think he has the body, and I think Jeff Green isn't really a knock, because if he's a consistent Jeff Green and he's healthy Jeff Green, Jeff Green was a guy that's consistently gotten looks in the NBA because of his talent. So I think that this is a guy that Miles Bridges, if he turns into a consistent Jeff Green, it's going to be an awesome pick, because he's a guy that really fits the NBA. He's an athletic guy. He could shoot from the outside. And if he's able to at least use that athleticism that he does have and just create a nice first step and a nice crossover and just shake free from a bit, he might be able to turn into a guy that really develops a nice mid-range game to pair with a pretty decent outside game. And he's already a great finisher. He's already great attacking the rim. So if he's going and getting hacked, he's an 85% free throw shooter from the line. I think Miles Bridges can be a dynamic player offensively, and he does enough defensively. I think the Cavs, especially if LeBron's leaving, that could really help them out. And obviously the 2 picks that they pick up in the 76ers trade, that's going to be something that is beneficial to them as well. Let us know your thoughts on the 1 through 10 segment. What picks surprised you, what trades surprised you. Let us know in the comments down below. But let's move into the second segment, the second, at least, bunch of top
second
picks.
Grouping.
11 through 20, second grouping, 11 through 20 of our mock draft 6.0. Ricky Widmer, we're going to go to you first. Give us your picks and players for 11 through 20.
Well, starting out at number 11 will be the Charlotte Hornets. They're going to take Colin Sexton, then double pick Magic. They did a trade with the Clippers. They're going to take Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Robert Williams. Then the Jazz, trading up with the Nuggets, they're going to take Miles Bridges. Wizards then at 15 go Lonnie Walker. Suns staying put. They're going to take Aaron Holiday. Bucks at 17 go Zaire Smith. Spurs go Dante DiVincenzo. And then the Hawks at 19 go Keita Bates-Diop. And the Wolves, they go with Kyrie Thomas. So my trades will then be, I'm going to mention the Magic one for those coming in on YouTube. Magic, they got Tobias Harris, 13 and 12. Clippers got Evan Fournier in the 6th, which was Luka Doncic. And then my Jazz Nugget trade is Jay Crowder, Jonas Jerebko, the 21st pick, and then next year's Jazz pick to the Nuggets for Kenneth Faried in the 14th pick.
Put the hat on.
And Dave, let's go to you for your 11 through 20.
My 11 through 20. I've got the Hornets at 11 taking Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. 12, I've got the Grizzlies taking Kevin Knox. At 13, the Clippers taking Robert Williams. At 14, the Nuggets taking Lonnie Walker. 15, Bulls via the Wizards taking Miles Bridges. 16, the Magic via the Suns via the Heat taking Anthony Simmons. 17, the Bucks taking Zaire Smith. 18, the Spurs taking Eli Okubo. 19, the Hawks taking Kyrie Thomas. And 20, the Wolves taking Kevin Huerter.
And talk about your trades.
Sure. So the Grizzlies via the Clippers via the Pistons. This one was from earlier. The Clippers getting 4 Chandler Parsons. The Grizz taking Toby, Pat Bev, and the 12. So getting some value as well as adding those veterans who are sorely needed on this playoff team for the Clippers or for the Grizzlies. They go ahead and they take the backup pick of Kevin Knox, someone who timeline doesn't match up necessarily, but he's a good guy moving forward, period. At that point, for me, it's value. It's look at his body, look at the way he could develop for you. There's no way you want to pass up on someone with that kind of physical potential moving forward. The other trade in that area, the Bulls are moving up, or the Wizards are moving down, I should say, because I think the Wizards feel they need a center, but at the same time, they also have some other holes, and they think that their guy's going to be available back with the Bulls at 21, where they'd moved down to from the earlier trade.
And they get 2 seconds in that trade as well.
But they're moving Kelly Oubre for Bobby Portis on that. So it's an interesting one.
And we'll get into it after I go through my 11 through 20. 11, I have the Charlotte Hornets taking Colin Sexton. At 12, I have the Clippers via the Pistons taking the Kevin Knox from the Kentucky Wildcats. Why I'm saying the
Kevin Nash.
The Kevin Nash
13,
from
Clippers
the-
taking Robert Williams from Texas A&M. 14, the Suns via the Nuggets take Shai Gilgeous-Alexander from Kentucky. 15, the Lakers via the Wizards take Mitchell Robinson, the center out of high school. 16, the Nuggets via the Suns take Zaire Smith, the guard out of Texas Tech. 17, Miami via Milwaukee take Eli Okubo, the guard from France. 18, Spurs taking Keita Bates-Diop from Ohio State. 19, Hawks taking DeAnthony Melton, the guard from USC. And 20, the Timberwolves via the Thunder. Dave, you took off your tinfoil hat because I should probably put mine on.
Yep.
The 14 trade, or at least the Suns getting Shai Gilgeous. Where is the hat? There it is. Shai Gilgeous. Not too crazy of a
need
trade.
help there, Sean?
Not too crazy of a trade. The Suns receive the 14th pick. Nuggets receive the 16th and the 31st because they need their guy in Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. They need their future point guard. And then the other trade, the Lakers receive the 15th pick and Marcin Gortat, trying to relieve cap space because I think the Wizards are going to go hard after DeAndre Jordan. So they get some cap space. The Wizards get the 25th pick and 48th pick. I understand that maybe it's a little lopsided because, yes, Mitchell Robinson could be a guy that works for the Wizards, but DeAndre Jordan at least fits their timeline more. Mitchell Robinson's going to be a guy that needs to develop, and I think they're going to go hard after him. Freeing up that $13 million for Marcin Gortat will be huge as well. And the other trade, this is the tinfoil hat one. And get ready, strap it in. The Nets, yes, the Nets. This is a 4-team trade. The Nets receive Mo Harkless from the Portland Trailblazers, Matthew Dellavedova from the Milwaukee Bucks, the 24th pick from the Blazers. The Blazers receive the 40th and 45th pick from Brooklyn, and Brooklyn's 2021 first-round pick. Then Miami receives the 17th pick and Milwaukee's 2020 first. And then Milwaukee receives Hassan Whiteside and the Knicks' 2019 second-round pick. And that leads the Heat to finally get a pick in this draft, and they take Eli Okubo from the French teams, from La Liga.
Unravel that a little bit for us.
So my thought process is, you look at Milwaukee, they need to free up cap space to at least either sign Jabari Parker or bring in a guy like Hassan Whiteside, which they end up doing. So they have to get rid of Delly's contract, $9 million. And you look at Portland, they're trying to get rid of cap space because they have so many bad contracts. Myers Leonard, Mo Harkless is one of them. So they free up $9 million of that. So I think about $20 million goes to Brooklyn. And Brooklyn takes on a 24th pick. So now they have 2 first-round picks. And then Portland also receives a future first that is protected from Brooklyn, just because, again, they are giving up a lot and not getting too much back, so they do end up getting that. Miami receives a 17th pick. They get into the first round. They get a draft pick this year because I think they need a backup point guard because Dragic is getting older, and I think Okubo could be a game changer. And they get Milwaukee's 2020's first for Hassan Whiteside because he's not working out in Miami. Had one of the worst playoffs I've seen from a big, not named Karl-Anthony Towns this year. Absolutely horrible. I think Milwaukee could be, again, adding length, adding a rim protector, adding a guy that can be really dynamic and athletic for Milwaukee. I think a fresh change of scenery and going into a Budenholzer at least regime might be beneficial because I think he needs a change. I think he needs a scenery change. I think he needs a wake-up call, and I think Hassan Whiteside could be a man in the middle that they need to really be a rim protector for them. So you can have Giannis defend the best player on the team, on the outside, whether it be like LeBron James, hit him out on beyond the arc and not have to worry if LeBron's driving. Have a guy in Hassan Whiteside who will go up and protect the rim. I think it's a great trade for Milwaukee. I think Miami gets a headache off their hands and they get some capital for the future. I think the Blazers get what they need in cap relief, and I think the Nets get another first-round pick, which is going to be great for them. Again, we've talked about them buying first-round picks. They do it again. They did it with DeMar Carroll. That's why they have 29th pick, and they do it now with the 24th pick, taking some cap relief off the Blazers again because they did Allen Crabbe. But I have them going the Miami Heat with Eli Okubo, and this is a guy that I want to talk about. We'll jump into at least the guys that we want to talk about now. And Okubo, a guy from France, and he's been playing in, I think, La Liga, Pro-Am 2A or 1A, same league that Frank played overseas. And he was a guy that finished second behind Frank in their Rookie of the Year, their best young player of the year voting award last year. He had a phenomenal season this year. I absolutely love the kid. He's a guy that can be dangerous on the outside. He fits this type of NBA. He's a guy that could be a top point guard. He could shoot off the dribble. He can shoot from deep. He could possibly end up being a great guard in this, a great defensive guard in this draft. 6'3", 6'8" wingspan. He's got a long wingspan. And I think he's got the quickness. I think he's got the range. I think he's pretty much the opposite of Frank when it comes to Frank's best skills were defensively. Ellie's best strengths are from three, and it's not even close. He's a good free throw shooter, 84% from the line, 41 from three. He's a guy that's going to come in here, and it might take him a little bit to adjust to the NBA game, but I think he's going to be able to at least contribute to this Miami team off the bench, because that's where he's going to be coming off right away. And Dragic is getting older, so he's going to be taking over for Dragic once Dragic ends up leaving Miami, and he's a guy that can turn into a guy that ends up being like a 17, 18, 20 point per game scorer, because he's got such a great outside shot. He's also a pretty damn good passer as well. So I think he's a future point guard that's really going to bolster this Miami team, because they have Bam in the middle. They have Justice Winslow. They have Josh Richardson. They have T.J. Johnson. They have now Eli Okubo to really solidify that future for the Miami Heat. So that was my
and the thing I was
major
just gonna,
rant there.
Didn't want to cut you off, but the thing that I find most interesting about that isn't just Okubo, because I think I have him way too low. I have him in the second round.
But I mean, if you don't believe in him, you don't believe in him. It's not
the thing what's going to be interesting, and we could pull the Pistons in with this, but you did it with the Heat.
Yeah.
They don't have a pick right now, a first or a second. Are we going to see them trade in at all? Like, odds are you would see them trade in. I didn't have them trade in all this draft. I don't know about you, Dave.
I did
it was
not.
interesting that you did say, you know what? We can't go pickless. We need to jump into this draft.
Detroit does have a pick. They have a second round pick, but they don't have a first round pick. And I think the thing with Miami is they have something to trade that's worth a first round pick in Hassan Whiteside. And Hassan Whiteside isn't a fit for them
unless
right now.
you think the Pistons are going to move Drummond, which
I don't think so.
People have said.
Yeah, it's a possibility, but I don't think it.
I just find it interesting that they have no pick. So like, Dave and I both saw them being pickless. I can't wait until the draft to see if they do move into the draft. And if they do move Hassan Whiteside, because that's their only movable asset.
Worst case, you start buying some twos. I mean, I think they'll find their name in this draft. I just don't know. Like, I like the position you had him go up there and steal, because I had Okubo going literally the next pick to the Spurs. I think he is going to be a stud offensively, and like really will be great off the bench as a six-man role. And the nice thing about this, we watched Justice Winslow grow as a primary ball handler off ball from Goran. So now you add in another guy who, yes, his passing needs to be worked on, his defense needs to be worked on, but he has all the tools. He has the confidence to shoot, and that's one of the best things is as a young player, he knows the shots he can make, and he knows when to chuck it up there for
He's got range.
I think, honestly, it's a great pick and a great fit as far as organization for him. So well done on that, Sean.
We'll give you the credit. It's just the 4-team.
Regardless,
it's the 4-team trade, man.
Yeah,
that's the killers. I hope I level it out at least.
So Portland going to make some
value-wise.
moves, or is this just clearing cap to save money?
Portland needs to,
because the LeBron to Portland thing. I mean, who's not reading?
They need
that?
to save money.
Dame, CJ, LeBron
with Nurkic and
Myers Leonard,
Collins.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing is I think this team is fine where they are. Mo Harkless is just it's something where $9 million. They need to move Myers Leonard or they need to move Mo Harkless. Mo Harkless is more valuable than Myers Leonard. So that's why he gets moved. They need to free up cap space because they need to at least take something off this at least this front office where they can at least free up some cap space, get some breathing room. And if they need to make additions at the trade deadline, they can do that. Or if they want to do that through free agency, they can do that as well. But that Mo Harkless deal, I don't think he's bringing enough value for that contract. And I think he can bring some value to the Nets at a fairly decent contract. I think it's around $9 million, $10 million. And the Nets at least get that first-round pick. So I think Portland does need to make a big move. They don't need this first-round pick because that's just adding more cap to them. I think they need to get rid of cap than take on cap. And I think that's why they move back. And then possibly, and I have them later on in the second round, taking on cash considerations for a pick as well.
See,
just
I'm
to
on
at
the
least
other
free
end.
up some space.
I think because they've trapped themselves in the cap situation that they need to hit on these draft picks because those are the guys who you're going to have to keep with your team because if you don't land on those draft picks, then you're going to have to overpay for somebody to keep them around.
They overpaid already for the draft picks.
Right,
they overpaid for Myers Leonard. I think they need to redo those mistakes.
So my thing is...
Or undo those mistakes.
Undo those, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, not redo.
My point is that, like, if you don't have draft picks, you're going to be paying somebody. So you need to have that stream coming through. That's why for me, I didn't have him doing that. But I totally understand the get out from underneath that horrible contract situation you're in.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing for Portland right now is just get some breathing room. You can bring in contracts with the $9 million that you free up, and then also the like $2 million that you end up getting for that pick in the second round. I think that's the biggest thing is that you just need to get some cap space and cap relief. That would really trigger that because I saw Portland 24 and I was like, they need to get out of there. And I saw the Nets. I was like, the Nets have a lot of picks, so why not try to move up?
They got a good relationship already.
And I'm thinking if the Nets are able to get a 24 and a 29, I think this is a team that can really add some youth. And then it started, balling into, well, Miami has Hassan Whiteside, and I think the Bucks need a rim protector, and then it just turned into this 14 trade that ended up working out. So that's the biggest thing. But let's get off that. And Ricky, you have some trades that I know you wanted to talk about. You have the Nuggets and Jazz in the trade. Talk about that.
And for this one, I have to apologize. I can't remember who it was on Twitter. When I tweeted out, like, man, coming up with these mocks, it's going to be great recording it next week. Someone tweeted, like, oh, are you going to have the Suns move up? And originally I did because the Suns moved up with the Nuggets. Then the Jazz moved up to get the Suns pick. So I'm glad you went with the Trae Young. So their Suns fans can still have that we moved up with our picks. But for me, because of how things went off and the Suns going with Aaron Holiday, the thing that's the most interesting for me is two things with the Nuggets. One, they want to move Kenneth Faried. They want to get something from him because he's only got this year and then he's done. And they're not afraid to move the 14th to do so.
Absolutely.
And for me, the big position for the Jazz, I know that everything with the NBA is, take the best player available, but the one position I think they need is a wing. They needed someone to be at the 3. Originally, it was, hey, let's trade up for a K that beats D up because that's a guy that I've seen in Jazz blogs around the internet, someone that they really like. But there was a guy who fell to 14 in mine called Miles Bridges.
Named.
And this was one where he named. Same
call him Miles Bridges.
But,
I call him Miles.
Yeah, I call him Miles.
His real
all the
name
time.
is Black Hawk Jackson.
But I mean, the thing is, I felt like for the Jazz, this was one where it's like, all right, we need to include a Jay Crowder and Urepko in this. Yeah, we might have to take on Kenneth Faried and move a first, but we can move up, get a guy in Miles Bridges that honestly could have been taken. You guys had him well before
I did
this
not.
14th pick. Well, you didn't.
I literally had him.
I had him.
That's
well
right.
Before.
But I mean, he's a guy that could have been into the lottery up a few picks. Let's move up and get him and add him to this team that is already building and kind of, I'll say, exceeded expectations this past year with how they did getting not just into the playoffs, but beating the Thunder in the first round. I thought
It's a pretty epic battle.
After that, I thought they were going to give the Rockets more of a chance, and he'd be a guy that could help them in playoff pushes.
What do you think about Miles Bridges on the Jazz?
I think it fits. I don't know that necessarily it was their one need in the playoffs because I feel like they've got a decent rotation. They found Royce. I know he was a late pick, but it seems like he can earn minutes and see where he grows from there. I think the Crowder, Thabo, and Joe Ingles, I think they've got a good rotation of guys. None of them stands out. Miles Bridges is someone who could stand out. He's someone who has a higher up end than every one of those guys I just listed. So if you feel like he can make the difference, absolutely go for that deal.
I think the biggest thing is getting Fareed off it.
Yeah.
Off that
And
Nugget team.
that helps.
And that's the thing is
Well,
that's gonna work for Jokic.
Do you see a Nugget Fareed deal happening in this trade?
The reason why my flip of the Nuggets and Suns happened was to end up moving towards a Fareed deal. I didn't find one out, but I still like the trade.
Yeah.
Because that still gives the Nuggets assets to move. Fareed, they need to move him because Jokic is coming up, and we had this conversation early in the season, Dave, where they might decline Jokic's player option to sign him now, so he doesn't cost more money later on. He might get pissed at that, but again, he's still going to be.
He'll be handsomely rewarded.
He'll be handsomely rewarded with money now. He'll still get money after the contract's up. So I think it's something where, again, you need to free up Fareed. Fareed's not playing, and you're paying him $14 million or $13 million.
Yeah.
So you need to at least get that contract off. I just couldn't find out a deal and a team that would take him on.
Well, here, just for kind of shits and giggles, and plus I want to get Suns fans into this also, here's originally what I had with the kind of the Nuggets Jazz spread out. So the first one was Nuggets take on Marquise Chris and the 16th pick, and they give up Fareed in the 14th. So exactly what they're giving up in this one. Then they take the 16th, give that to the Jazz for Jay Crowder in the 21st. So it was a lot of there's another player now added in the future, but the Suns one was the one I was looking at. Could they trade up, flip with the Nuggets if a Shai Gilgeous is there, and say, hey, we'll take on Kenneth Faried, but you got to take on Marquise Chris just to get rid of
the
him.
Suns have the ability to do that cap-wise, but I don't know if it's just going to be smart for them in the long haul. But it's going to be interesting to see what happens because, I mean, when you get to these numbers, the 14, there's a lot of teams moving up. And Miami, if they feel hungry enough, they might throw out Hassan Whiteside.
I think the Nets, you marked it earlier with a different trade, but I think the Nets could be interested in picking up Kenneth Faried's contract. They're a team who could easily take it, would love another pick high.
So that's something it's definitely a watch out for. If there's a team that's 11 through 20 range that you do want to shout out that might be a trade option, let us know in the comments below.
And just the thing I was going to throw is with the Nuggets that's interesting is yes, I would mock them with a 3 or a wing player.
Yeah.
And because in this part of the draft, there are so many of them, that's why I could see them going, no, we don't have to take one at 14. No, we don't have to take one at 15, and could just trade back a little bit.
That's the thing, is you look at the Nuggets, I have them going Zaire Smith because I think he's going to bring a lot of defense, and I think, yes, he's shorter than we expected him to, but he's still got a long wingspan. I think he might be able to be a very small 3. I think he's going to be an interesting player. That's why I have the Nuggets going with him. But even then, if they trade back, Keita Bates-Diop, Melvin Frazier,
Kyrie Thomas, Jacob Evans,
Troy Brown,
all these guys.
Like, there's a ton of guys that they can still add to that 3 spot that can help them. But Dave, we talked about trades, and you have one that I think Bulls fans are interested to hear about. We kept them waiting long enough. So you have them trading from 7 to 21 and making a jump back up. Explain the trade and explain at least the ideas.
Absolutely. So the deal is that you are going to get pick 15 and Kelly Oubre, and the Wizards are going to get pick 21, Bobby Portis, and 2 seconds from the Bulls. This basically means that Chicago, you're still going to get yourself a guaranteed 3 guy. This fills the gap, but it also might not push the needle far enough where you feel like we're not going to be, a playoff contender, which means you could be right back up at the top of this thing next year looking the RJ Barrett category.
Yep.
But you also get a guy in Kelly Oubre who we saw take a big step to improve himself. He's still not quite what we expect him to be. I know he was a later draft pick, but like early on, I saw like great signs like, man, this guy's going to be like a 3-and-D monster out there. He's getting better, but there's still a long way to go. Fit-wise, the Wizards know we're looking for a center. None of these teams between here and here, and by here and here I mean 15 and 20, look like they would take a center right up from under us. So I'm going to roll the dice and get myself Bobby Portis, who is a proven player right now, who's a better player than Kelly Oubre is, brings a level of intensity and effort that they were sorely lacking down in the low post, somebody who will make sure that they don't fall off. And they still pad on with 2 second-round picks to help, keep sure that new guys will be rotating through.
They still have Markieff Morris on the team. So how do you think those two, Portis and Markieff, play off each other?
Man, Bobby, I keep saying Bobby's a small ball 5. Like, he can play the 4, he can play the 5. I think that I know they hate Gortat's contract, and I know this is the end for him pretty much. And you're stuck with Jan Mahimi as well. Like, they fucked up their 5 situation. Let's just be honest about it, Wizards fans. You know what you did. I think that you add another. Don't worry about that because I know Oubre was a good contributor from like the 3 and the 4, but let's be honest, like Bobby Portis fitting on that team, I think adds more than what Kelly was able to do for them, especially in the playoffs. So you take it, you go get the young center you want who has an incredible upside, Mitchell Robinson. You think that he won't be a contributor early. I think that if you give him court time, that he will be able to play this year at a decent level.
Well, and again, if he stays, and I don't have the Wizards staying there because they unload Gortat's contract,
right?
But if they stay, I think the pick's Mitchell Robinson.
Yeah, I think they gamble and they're like, we can get more out of this. We can squeeze it for a little harder. And the Bulls see that their guy in Bridges, I know not the Bridges Ricky wants, but I think Miles Bridges brings a toughness to this team, to this Bulls, fills the 3 that we just absolutely haven't had one in years. I think it's a perfect fit. He's physical. He's tough. He was a leader on that Michigan State team. I think all in all, like everybody wins.
You probably haven't gotten that toughness since like Luol Deng was on the Bulls. So I mean, that's something that you got to look back on.
Yeah.
But let's go into. We got about like 8 minutes left. Let's talk about some of the trades, some of the picks that we like, or some of the teams that we're interested in. Ricky, I'll go to you since you haven't talked in a while. I know you really are itching at the Spurs.
The thing is with the Spurs, and like Dave brought up, the Eli Okubo that you had, could totally see that being a Spurs thing.
That's why I took it.
They just love international players. But to me, 2 guys that I'm seeing that they at least talk to at the Combine, and just because you talk to them doesn't mean you're going to draft them, but 2 guys that I think they like is, one is Dante DiVincenzo. And part of me is with you, Sean. Do I think he should be a first-round talent? No. But the reason why I put him there is based off of the talks that they had at the Combine, they could fall in love with them and just say, screw it, we're going to do what we think and take him at 18. The other one that they could probably get in the second round is Amari Spellman. So those were two of the guys that they're looking at. So for me with the Spurs, it's like, what are you going to do? Because now a lot of people are talking about them being in the LeBron James sweepstakes, but everyone's in the LeBron James sweepstakes, or everyone should put in an offer if they can. So it's like, for me with the Spurs at 18, what do you do to make this team better? Because really the only reason you were where you were was because you didn't have Kawhi.
Well, I think the biggest thing is that I think those two guys, Spellman and DiVincenzo, are stretches. I think those are two big reaches there at 18. And even Okobo,
Spellman would be more of a guy they would take with the second round pick.
Yeah, I look at Keita Bates-Diop. It's still same line, same versatility, ability to shoot from the outside, still same toughness. But I think that's more of a Spurs pick just because that's going to help you out on that wing, whether it's at the 3, whether it's at the 4. It's going to help you space out if Gasol's off the floor and you move Aldridge to the 5. It's going to help you space out the floor. I think that's the biggest thing for them when they're looking at wings. And obviously DiVincenzo maybe, but I think if they're going with a guard, they're going to go point guard. Why do you like Okobo for the Spurs? Because I know you have him taking
I think
Okobo.
he pairs really well with what they have already. I'm picturing his face. DeJounte Murray.
Yep, DeJounte
we
Murray.
loved him coming out of
Bring
college.
Forbes.
And Forbes is okay. But, I'm going to be honest. It's DeJounte Murray, and it's the pairing of those two together. He is, I don't know, we see what Patty Mills can do out there, who's not a true one, but at the same time, you have to give him the reins. We saw DeJounte Murray grow this year. He still doesn't have an outside shot, which is okay because he's not being reckless in taking those shots because Papa would bench his ass. But he knows his role on the team, and he is aggressive. He's probably the best rebounding guard in the game. He is one of the best guys at driving to the lane. He needs to find a way to get contact and finish, but I look at this team's future and I see, the potential to add someone like Okobo who has the fire starter off the bench mentality. He's going to go out there. He's going to drain shots. He's going to get time. He will grow. It's one of those fits where I like it long term. I don't know that necessarily it fits the timeline of we got to get Kawhi to re-sign this summer and compete this year. He's more of a guy where it's I think Kawhi's going to be here for long term anyway. I'm not worried about it. I'm going to keep building my dynasty like I want to.
And that's also the thing, draft news, where they're saying that Pop and Kawhi have a meeting scheduled sometime before the draft where people are thinking it's going to be the same thing that was said to LaMarcus Aldridge last year, where it's basically, hey, if you want to give us a team that would take you and I can get value for you, great. But I can't get value for you. So we're going to kind of make this work. Kind of like what was said last year to LaMarcus Aldridge.
You can't get value for Kawhi.
Yeah, as I
no.
Equal value.
Much different.
It kind of goes back to, I think it was Rachel Nichols who said this, when Kobe during the Shaq-Kobe thing went to the Lakers and said, I want to trade. And they said, if you can find a team that can give me another Kobe Bryant, sure. Otherwise, you're ours, because I'm not going to take a 5-carat diamond and get 5 1-carat diamonds.
All right, makes sense. I understand what you're saying there. And just to wrap it up, one guy I do want to throw out there, not in the Spurs range, we talked about the Spurs, but the one guy that is, I think in my first round for the first time, D'Anthony Melton from USC. I looked more about the Hawks and, with the talk about Schroeder possibly going, I looked at D'Anthony Melton and obviously talking, listening to a good old Lloyd Pierce, been name dropping a ton. He's been talking about defense, he's been talking about guards. D'Anthony Melton guy that's going to be physical, 6'3", 6'8" wingspan. He's got length. He's great defensively. And I think the biggest thing is that he's going to be a pick-and-roll playmaker. He's a guy that really understands the pick-and-roll. He understands how to set other guys up. That's going to be big for Jaren Jackson, especially if Jaren Jackson's trying to stretch the floor. That's going to be big for John Collins. It's going to be big for Taurean Prince on the outside. So I think that's going to be a nice a backup point guard or even possibly a future point guard, especially with the Hawks having so many picks. I really like that D'Anthony Melton fit there at 19 for the Hawks. And I think they take him there because the Jazz will be looking at him. I think the Mavericks will be looking at him. I think the Pacers will be looking at him. They got to go out and get their guy at 19. Might be a little bit of a reach, but I think that's going to be a nice fit there for the Atlanta Hawks. That's going to wrap it up, 11 through 20. Give us your thoughts on our picks, on our trades. Do you think the 14 trade where the Heat end up getting a pick is going to happen?
The most teams in one of our trades for the entire...
Do you think the Bulls are going to go down to 7 and up to 22? Do you think that the Suns are going to, the Nuggets are going to get Fareed's contract off? Let us know in the comments below. Let's move into the third grouping, and we're talking about 21 through 30. Boys, let's go through this because we are starving.
I'm
Ricky,
starving.
Start at 21. Take us through 30.
He's melting away over there.
Starting at, not melting away. We're
Turn sideways,
Jesus
I can't
Christ,
even
just
see
go
him.
21 through 30.
Well, 21, I got the Nuggets going with Jacob Evans. Then the Bulls going with the guy they promised. Chandler Hutchinson is going to be a Bull. Then the Pacers at 23 going with Melvin Frazier out of Tulane. Then the Blazers at 24 going Troy Brown out of Oregon. Then the Lakers going with a guy that they really want. I think they promised him the pick at 25. It'll be Mitchell Robinson. Then the 76ers going Gary Trent Jr., third Dookie for me off the board. Then directly after him, the fourth Dookie, Grayson Allen, going to the Boston Celtics. Then the Golden State Warriors take Kevin Huerter, the 3-and-D guy out of Maryland. Then Zana Musa going to the Nets. And then my only trade in this that's new, 76ers will give up 2 of their seconds, 38 and 39, to take Jalen Brunson, another Villanova Hova guy, and an Illinois native at 30.
There you go. Dave, take us through your 21 through 30.
Cool. I got the Wizards at 21 via that trade with the Bulls. Taking Mitchell Robinson, the guy they wanted. The Bulls at 22, taking Chandler Hutchinson. Right, like Ricky said, I'm buying into the he was promised, it's going to happen line. At 23, I've got the Pacers going Aaron Holiday, getting themselves a guard who has a ton of potential and a great last name and family in the NBA. Can't go wrong there. 24, Trailblazers going Zana Musa. 25, the Lakers going Troy Brown. 26, the 76ers going Jalen Brunson. Oh, what a coincidence. 27, I've got the Celtics going Dante DiVincenzo. 28, I've got the Warriors going Jacob Evans. 29, the Nets going Keita Bates-Diop. And 30, I've got the Rockets taking Melvin Frazier.
One thing I want to throw in there, because for Nuggets fans coming in going, what? Why are we at 21? That was a trade that was from the last segment with Jay Crowder, Jerebko, 21st, future Utah, and you guys give up 14 and Fareed.
And Ricky's referencing his own trade, not Dave's.
Yeah.
And let's my 21 through 30. The Jazz at 21 taking Anthony Simmons, guard out of high school. Then at 22, the Mavericks via the Bulls taking Troy Brown, the forward out of Oregon. That was when the 7 and 22 for 5 swap between the Bulls and the Mavericks. The Pacers taking guard Aaron Holiday from UCLA, from UCLA. Then at 24, the Nets via the Trailblazers. That was the 14 trade monster where the Nets take on Mo Harkless, Delhi, and get a 24th pick from the Blazers.
Hat.
The hat was already on. The
You
Nets
earned it again.
The Nets end up getting that pick at 24. So they take up Lonnie Walker. Then 25, the Wizards via the Lakers. That was a 15, 20, and Marcin Gortat swap. The Wizards end up taking Moritz Wagner out of Michigan. And at 76, Zanan Musa is taken by the 76ers. Then at 27, the Celtics take Shake Milton out of SMU. Then at 28, the Warriors take Kevin Huerter, the guard out of Maryland. Then at 29, the Nets take Omari Spellman, forward out of Villanova. And at 30, the Hawks take Jacob Evans out of Cincinnati. So, boys, let's look into this. First, going to start off with Dave. Dave, you wanted to talk about the Lakers. You have him going Troy Brown. What do you like about Troy Brown on the Lakers?
Troy Brown's basically like a Swiss Army knife. He's yet to be unlocked, though. He's a young kid who has...
How do you unlock a knife?
I mean, we're in Chicago, so like we got that whole, you have to have the, like, you can't have switchblades. You got the little buttons. You got to, the releases.
Okay. You got to release him.
Yeah. So, look, he is physically set. He's like 6'7", I think only a 6'9", 6'10" wingspan. Not the best, but still not bad. Considering he's a guard. He has guard handles. He can be a secondary ball handler for that Laker team. I love the fit out there. He can drive an offense. And again, young, but also on that Oregon team looked to as a leader, which I think going to a team where you have Lonzo Ball already there, perfect. You make sure that second unit, he can be a floor general, but also gives you great size on the outside to match up with people. I think fit-wise, the Lakers love it, and this is all assuming the plan happens with free agency for them.
Well, and for me, the Lakers, the big thing is, in yours, Mitchell Robinson, would they trade up to get him? And could they find a team, perfect world here, take Luol Deng's contract and be able to move up?
I mean, what are you giving up to do that?
Yeah, that's impossible.
I have no idea.
To move up and take Deng's
Am I getting Brandon Ingram? Or
that makes no sense.
I'm just
Maybe
thinking
move down.
because the thing with the Lakers that'll be interesting in this draft is they have said everyone except for Lonzo, which I don't even think they like. The big thing is everyone's like, would you basically say no? Lonzo's on the table too, but basically everyone but Lonzo and
Brandon Ingram.
BI everyone's on the table. So will a team come in and say, we want this for Kuzma?
Did you scrap your Kuzma trade?
I did, because the Clippers.
But what was your Kuzma trade?
My original one was, it was Luol Deng, Kuzma, and then I think the 25 and future picks for the Magic and I think Terrence Ross.
Okay.
The Magic 6 and Terrence Ross.
Yeah, I mean, it's something where I don't think the Lakers are going to make a big move. Like, I think if they're making a move, they're trying to get rid of contract.
If Doncic drops,
I don't think they're making a big move. And to go from 25 to top 6 is going to be ridiculous.
That's why for me the Mitchell Robinson, because it's a closer move.
And the one thing too, I understand you might like.
Is he going to get to 25?
You might like Luka, but you have Lonzo Ball, who I mean, he's not. He's there's shades of there's overlapping of their game. Like
sure.
Lonzo's a better passer. Lonzo's more of a primary ball handler, but Luka is still a creative passer. So is Lonzo Ball. And another thing too. Brandon Ingram showed the ability to be a point forward. Brandon Ingram has the ability to be a secondary ball handler. He's a guy that was, when Lonzo was off, was their main ball handler at points. So I don't understand wanting to go up and get Luka when you already have 2 ball handlers. Like, the best part about Luka is his ball handling. He's not a shooter. Like, maybe if you want to go up and get, Trae Young, then maybe that makes sense. That would be ridiculously and probably cancerous if Trae Young goes to the Lakers. But that's something where, again, if you want to add shooting around those guys who are able to pass, then that makes sense. But I don't think the Lakers are moving up unless it's for a guy like Mitchell Robinson, which I have them doing because, again, you're trying to develop those young centers, trying to make sure you have a guy that can protect the rim, can run the rim as well. I think a guy like Mitchell Robinson is going to probably be a guy that really gets the Lakers' eye and is more obtainable rather than a Luka Doncic. Maybe they won't have to trade up for him, but I have them trading up, and Mo Wagner ends up going to the Wizards. But I think Mitchell Robinson probably is one of the easiest links to the Lakers, and it's much easier to get them than trade up into the top 10.
Yeah.
I think we got to at least come back to earth here with the trades. I get it, everything can happen, but anything's possible. But let's bring it in. I don't think the Lakers are going to jump all the way up there, but Lakers. I
for
think
me, it's more of, do you see what's the probability of them moving up for Mitchell Robinson? Because although
fairly high.
I'll be honest, in my mock draft, having him fall to 25 was a bit of a stretch. That might be me saying I want him to go here because the Wizards, they're a team that in my mock draft I'm like, man, at 15 they could, and then I'm like,
Wizards, Bucks, Spurs, Hawks.
I had to almost talk myself into,
Wolves.
no, the Wizards would want Lonnie Walker. No, the Bucks would go with Zaire Smith. I had to almost be they could go with this and it'll make sense.
That's why I traded
instead of Mitchell Robinson.
That's why I had the Lakers trade up, take on a contract, and because they still have the ability. And I'm of the mindset because even though we have the tinfoil hats, I'm actually living on Earth. LeBron James isn't going to the Lakers, people. I don't care if they're the favorites. LeBron James is not going there.
Sources
I don't give a fuck what the entertainment sources have unless it's coming straight from LeBron James's mouth. I'm not believing jack shit until it comes out.
How good's their medical staff?
I don't care. I don't care.
I
don't care if LeBron James's niece's neighbor said that LeBron's going to L.A. I don't care unless it's coming out and he's already signed the contract. When LeBron signed to the Lakers, then I will paint my face purple and gold.
I can't wait till
it's not going to happen. No, I'm not shaving my brows. But if LeBron goes to the Lakers,
so we're painting his face purple and gold.
If LeBron goes to the Lakers, I will paint my face purple and gold because it's not happening.
Can we give you a pencil thin beard?
Yeah, fine, whatever.
Yes.
Whatever.
It's on camera.
Could this be 2 for 2?
Whatever.
Yes.
I will.
2 in one season.
I don't know what we're talking about here, but I'm just gonna paint my face purple and gold if LeBron goes to the Lakers. I'll do it because
Can we also give you a
don't think it's
LeBron
gonna
James
happen.
haircut to match?
What?
Can we give you a LeBron James haircut to
No,
match?
God damn it! Stop! I'm just painting my face.
I can't wait to paint his face.
God, you're such morons. Why are you painting it? I'm painting it. I'll do it on the podcast.
Oh, my God.
But
No,
the
but Dave and I
LeBron
have to do it.
the LA is a pipe dream. It's ridiculous.
Or
All it
is
is
it?
for
I don't think
entertainment
so.
purposes. All it is to drive clicks. He's going to a winner. The Lakers aren't a winner right now, at least. And I think if they're going to try to make a move, they're going to go up and get a guy like Mitchell Robinson, which is much more obtainable than a Luka Doncic or a Trae Young, or getting 2 max and getting Paul George and LeBron James. It's not happening. So I don't know
when we talk
why we
about some
went on this
winners,
rant,
like the Celtics or the Warriors in this group.
And that's what Ricky wants to talk about. Ricky, you want to talk about Grayson Allen?
For me, the thing is with Grayson Allen, I kind of mentioned this in the Primetime podcast, but I want to say it here as well. For me, I really want Grayson to either go between 26 and 28 because I just feel like he fits in with either the 76ers with how he can shoot the three ball. Him and if there's a coach, Brad Stevens or Steve Kerr could get the most out. We all thought Swaggy P was done. There's no help for him.
I didn't.
And Steve Kerr kind of helped him.
He could shoot the three ball.
I know
like
he
nobody
could shoot
else.
the three ball, but we all thought that. Oh, well, he's a cancer
He's
in
a
the locker
goofball,
room, and he's never going to work for a team. And then he's on the Warriors and wins the championship. Went from snitch to putting on the ring.
That's because he saw what real scary looks like.
Yeah.
When Draymond Green's in that locker room, you're no longer the big dog. You're no longer freaking people out.
And I think the same thing, Celtics and Warriors are the big two, is where I want to see Grayson Allen go. And the Warriors are the big one because I feel like he could fit in with that team and not be cancerous to that team.
Dude,
and
I
with the
almost had
Celtics, well, I did until I moved some things around. Celtics then took him, and then the Warriors take my second option of Herter, who perfect. He's a 3-and-D guy. Add him right in, and he'll be fine.
Well,
Klay Thompson 2.0.
That's the guy I want to talk about is Kevin Herter because he has not been on any of our mocks so far. It's been a while since we've done a 1 through 30.
The first thing he cracked was Brandon's last big board. He cracked.
Yeah, it's first
after the
first
combine,
time
right?
we've talked about him.
No, that was the very last one we
okay.
did. Yeah, after the combine.
First time we've talked about him.
Right.
What have you guys seen from Herter that you like? Just not to the Warriors, but in general. What do you like about Herter? Because now we get to talk about him because we're talking about round 1 and 2.
Got good I mean, I had him going all the way up at 20. So
20?
Yeah.
What do you like about him though? I
He can shoot lights out. Period. I know that I'm probably overvaluing the outside shooting, but at some point the Wolves are a team that are stuck with a bunch of guys who are mid-range experts. You need to have someone who can stretch the floor, especially in that second unit, when you have those mixed lineups in there, and you have to depend on guys like Wiggins and Jimmy Butler plus question mark, and if it just you need someone who can stretch. He's perfect for it. He's got good size, good instincts, and the shot selection's actually pretty good. I was surprised because I went back, started watching his games because going into the combine, I was like, hey, he's a 2. He's a second rounder, probably early, but still, he's a solid second rounder. And then, combine, watched it, was like, damn, he impresses. Go back and watch tape on him and see that, shot selection smart. He's active on the court. He's not a spot up 3-point shooter, and that's his only role. So the fact that there's more to him than that really intrigued me.
Well, he reminds me of, and not an exact thing, but he is a similar to Klay Thompson. And I know you mentioned earlier the whole he'd take a pay cut to stay with the Warriors, but why not add a guy who can do similar things? I'm going to say he'll do the exact same things as Klay, but literally he's 6'7", just like Klay. The only thing is he's got to beef up a little bit. Klay is 215. He's 194.
If he was Klay Thompson, why is he going in the back end of your first round?
Well, that's what I'm saying. He's not exactly Klay Thompson, but he can do Klay Thompson things, and that's what I'm saying. Shoot
he's
the
Alan
three,
Crabb.
play defense. Better than Allen, better than Crab.
Do you think he's better than Crab this year?
Alan Crabb's a great 3-point shooter.
And for the Warriors, I think with their coaching, I'm just not even going to.
One of the best parts about Klay Thompson is that he's a good defender.
Yeah,
I don't see Herter being a good defender.
I don't see him being a really bad defender, and that's what he can bring, 3 and D, just not on the same level. That's why I say he's not Klay Thompson, but he can do Klay Thompson-like things.
If you had to choose between him or DiVincenzo, who would you go?
For the Warriors, I would go with. Well, for the Warriors, I would go with Herter. It depends on who I'm picking for.
DiVincenzo is a 2.
The thing with that is again, what are we talking about? We're talking about Warriors or just a fit in general, NBA.
We'll go with Warriors.
Because for Warriors, I have him going Herter.
Yeah.
I have him going Herter because I think he fits in, just because I think coming off the bench, he's going to be a guy that can sit on the outside and shoot. They have Patrick McCall, who's been able to drive in and penetrate more and kind of play more of the Sean Livingston role. I think they need more of a shooting on the outside, kind of fit along with Nick Young. Kevin Herter brings that. But if we're talking about who's going to be a better NBA pro, it's going to be DiVincenzo.
So the question is, I'm sorry, I'm not looking at your draft. Is DiVincenzo gone on your board already?
No, 34. So 33. He goes 33 to the Mavericks.
So you've got DiVincenzo going after Herter, even though shooting-wise, they're roughly in the same ballpark. Athletically, DiVincenzo's better, and defensively, it looks like DiVincenzo might have the advantage.
But he did say for the Warriors.
The fit.
For
so
the
you
fit,
think
though.
You think fit-wise, they want the skinnier, less athletic guy?
I think Herter is a guy that, again, we got to look at what the Warriors are going to be doing. They're going to be bringing in people consistently. They're going to be they're going to try to keep the 4 around: Kevin Durant, Draymond Green, Steph Curry, and Klay Thompson. So getting a guy like Herter, yes, he's a lesser of a player than DiVincenzo. He's also going to cost less. So yes, he's going to be a budgeter player because again, where you're drafting is going to be different. But again, he's along the lines, he's going to bring you lesser value, but he's also going to cost less money. Where DiVincenzo, maybe if this kid is everything that he's hyped up to be, he's going to be a guy that's going to be a great scorer. He's going to cost maybe upwards to 9 mil, 10 mil, 11 mil when his contract runs up. Herter might be a guy that consistently stays around 5 to 3 mil. For this team. So if I'm the Warriors, I'm trying to keep my big four
intact. It's awfully far down the line to think, though.
But it's the Warriors. What do you need? Like
I mean, that's three plus years down the road. That's all I'm thinking.
Here's the thing I wonder about DiVincenzo. And yes, I had him above Herter, but only because the Spurs and how they like him. The thing I worry about him, and I'm not saying this is going to happen, but it could, if 3-4 years down the line, we're looking back going, we're watching a game, DiVincenzo, remember that kid? Remember that championship game he played? And it being like wasn't anything
that's his
special.
Claim to fame?
Exactly. Like, are we only putting him this high because he had one really good game?
No. I mean, he's had a great combine, too.
But that's the funny thing is, like...
He had a great combine, and he just really didn't get enough.
Because, throughout the entire season, I know it's like he did have Mikal Bridges and Brunson there,
stuff
too.
has Kevin Herter been on the mainstream media, though? I mean...
Not at all.
Exactly. So that's the point. Like, you're saying,
Who was watching Maryland basketball?
Thank you. Like, and I even had... I've heard Herter going higher than him as well. But that's because I'm not 100% sold. I think that role-wise, DiVincenzo on the right team... amazing. I think the wrong team could be a disaster for him. That's why I landed him. I wanted to drop him back to the Warriors, but I think the Celtics would take him if he was there.
No, and I'm the same thing. Like, the only reason I had DiVincenzo higher is because the Spurs, and I'm like, you know what? If they like a guy, they're going to take him over someone that they didn't interview.
The other thing, too, is this is a mock draft, not a big board.
I know.
So, I mean,
we're picking fits.
DiVincenzo more. So I think Herter's more of a fit. Because, again, he fits the long-term plan of it. Yeah, I mean, we're thinking 3 years down the road, but 3 years down the road, Kevin Durant's still going to be 32 and still going to be falling out. Klay Thompson's still going to be, I think he might be hitting 30. Steph is probably going to be the one I worry about because of his ankles. But then again, you're still talking about one of the greatest shooters of all time. So the Warriors team is still going to be great. You're still going to need to find cap space. And, of course, the Warriors are thinking down the line because they already have their future in place. It's the 4 guys that just won 3 championships in 4 years. So I think that's one thing that sticks out there for the Warriors and the Herter debate. What I want to go to, though, is the talks about the Nets, because the Nets now have 2 first-round picks after the 14th trade that I made. They end up picking Lonnie Walker at 24 and Amari Spellman at 29. Amari Spellman, again, another guy from Villanova, another guy that's kind of jumped up after a pretty decent combine. He's a guy that can stretch the floor a little bit. I like him a lot for this Nets team. Yes, he might be a little bit of a stretch here at 29, but when you start melding all these guys and you look at the second round, there's a lot of guards in that second round where they don't need a guard after they took Lonnie Walker, after they have D'Angelo Russell. I think the biggest thing for them is being able to stretch the floor. They don't have a player that can do that on their team. Amari Spellman, 43% three-point shooter in college. I think he's going to be able to bring that over to the NBA, and Lonnie Walker at least brings another guard that can come off the bench when Jeremy Lin, if he's not healthy. Same with D'Angelo Russell, if he's not healthy. And if Spencer Dinwiddie's not on this team, Lonnie Walker's going to come off the bench, and Karis LeVert as well. He's going to be able to come off the bench and at least create some shots and buckets.
Why do you have Lonnie Walker going so low? Like, me and Dave on 14, 15. Why do you got him going at 24?
Well, I mean, I look at him.
I think that's kind of low.
I don't think he fits anywhere. I mean, again, I don't like guard-wise. I don't have him above Shai Gilgeous. So then we look at teams that need guards. Nuggets, they don't need a guy that's going to be penetrating like that. They need a defender. And Zaire Smith is that guy. I think Zaire Smith has a higher top end than Lonnie Walker does because if he's able to get a shot down, he's going to be a two-way player, where Lonnie Walker, I don't know where he is going to end up defensively. He really seems lost a lot. At least in college he did. He seemed lost a lot defensively. It didn't seem like he was able to pick up a defense at all. He was really good at driving in, creating his own shot, but he was really not a good outside shooter, where Zaire Smith, again, if he's able to find that shot more consistently.
Supposedly impressing people during the offseason workout.
He's going to be a guy that's going to be a guard that goes there. Then DeAnthony Melton, you need more of a point guard. So Lonnie Walker isn't that. So DeAnthony Melton fits there, and he's a better defender than Lonnie Walker is. Anthony Simmons, more potential. Aaron Holiday is a better fit for the Pacers.
And one thing that I'm noticing, and I don't want to draw a wedge in between the We Agree podcast, but Dave, He just said that he's not a fit for the Nuggets, and that's where you had Lonnie going.
Yeah, I completely disagree because I think Lonnie's going to be a better professional player than he was in college. I think fit-wise, coaching-wise, he needed something that he wasn't getting in college. And as far as the pace of the game, the speed of it, and what you can do on the court with the spacing you have in the NBA, I think his tools can be much better utilized in the NBA. I think that value-wise, I have him right in the same boat as Zaire Smith. I think they're both unique talents who, at the college level, we saw something interesting out of them. But at the NBA level, we're going to see what they can really do. And I think they're going to both take it up a notch.
I think one thing, though, is with Lonnie Walker, is with that space, though, you're still going to be able to, shoot the ball from the outside to prove that you demand that space. Does he have the potential to become a good shooter? Yes. But right now, he's not a good shooter, and at least from the outside. And I don't know if that's really going to come with the territory, because he's going to need to be able to control the ball. He's going to need to be a playmaker. And he's also going to need to be able to develop a shot. That's a lot. Where Zaire Smith has the athleticism, he has the very beginnings of a shot. And if you're trying to get a 3-and-D player, you just need the 3 to come along a little bit more, because the defense and the athleticism is there for Zaire Smith. The athleticism's there for Lonnie Walker.
Yeah,
huge wingspan, 6'4", 6'10" wingspan. But I think the one thing is just that I think Zaire Smith is going to be a better fit for the Nuggets, where they need a guy that isn't really a ball handler, because they have Jamal Murray. Gary Harris has been a fine ball handler for them before. And also Nikola Jokic, who's a 7-foot point guard. So I don't think they're really looking for that next point guard ball handler. And I think Lonnie Walker is kind of in the Reggie Jackson territory, where he's not going to be a great playmaking point guard, but he's going to be a good scoring point guard. And I don't really think that fits the NBA today. Where the Nets, I think they have one of those guys in D'Angelo Russell, where you can pair that and kind of play off of that with Lonnie Walker coming off the bench. And also defensively, he might turn into something special. I'm not saying Lonnie Walker can't develop past what he currently is, but he's a guy that I have lower, just because I don't know what he's going to develop into, how much he can develop. And yes, he's a fantastic athlete, was a really highly ranked coming out of high school, and he also dealt with injuries at Miami. But I don't know where he's going to end up and how much he can really develop truly. But let's talk about other guys that we want to talk about in this 21 through 30 range. Any guys that jump out off the page, and Ozana Moose's there.
That's the one I was going to hit up. I was like, he came from somebody who we floated down to like the low teens, and now he's back up into the mid-20s again for all of us. I think for me, I've got him going to the Trailblazers. I think he had spacing. He had somebody who can just be a knockdown shooter from the outside. He can create a little bit for himself, a little bit for others. He does everything they need to, and he doesn't come over with a giant contract, which is even better. So for me, it's like a clear Blazers, you're in the boat of we don't want picks. I'm in the other side. I'm like, look, we need to hit on these, because these are the guys who are going to be here, because we can't get anybody else in town.
I think I'm the lowest on Zana. I had him the lowest. That is, I had him a 29.
Is that just a fear of basically? I know you've been the guy who's like, I don't like foreign players because they bust higher percentages.
With this, it wasn't that. It was just I almost had him go to the Blazers, but then I picked a Troy Brown over him, and then I didn't see Lakers, Sixers, Celtics, Warriors, and the Nets. I didn't see being a team that could say, we're not going to take him. They'd be a team that's like, yes, come here, play with us, because we just need anyone that can play well.
The biggest thing that I think stands out for Zonin is that he's not a defender. He's a one-way player.
He's got a 3-ball, though.
And that's the thing.
He's wicked good
offensively, he might be a stud, but defensively, he's going to need some damn work. And that's why I think the 76ers take him.
Worst case, Boyan.
Yeah, but I think one thing with that, though, is it turns into you look at where the draft lines up. I don't think any team can really take a shot on him, or it's worth it, because Mavericks have Troy Brown on the board. So he's a guy that's going to be able to develop quicker. He's a guy that is a little bit more athletic and can. I think
Troy Brown's raw compared to Zonin.
I think Zonin's still raw, though, because I think Troy Brown could still develop a defensive game, though. Yeah, I think that's one thing is
yes, he did.
Offensively, Troy Brown, still needs to work on a shot. He's got a decent ball handle. And defensively, though, I think he's got more potential than Zana Musa does. Zana Musa looks lost defensively in the EuroLeague,
but he has a polished offensive game, which is something that Troy needs to work on offense and defense. He's just a really great ball handler, good size. Zonin's got size. He's got all the offensive tools you want.
Troy Brown also has a bigger wingspan. Troy Brown comes in at 7'3" wingspan, where I think Zana Musa, the last thing I've heard saw was his wingspan's actually shorter than his height.
Yeah, it's like 1 inch shorter.
6'9" to 6'8".
Yeah.
So that's one thing that worries me too. Is Troy Brown has a lot of potential. Zana Musa is going to need time. That's why I don't think a team like the Mavericks, who are looking for a 3, would go with the Zana Musa. They'd go with a Troy Brown because he's going to be able to work with this team, work with the Dallas team, where 76ers, who have a ton of picks, can take Zana and stash him. He's a draft and stash
Stay
right
over there. Don't even bother.
Yeah, so I think that's the thing with Zana Musa. It's going to be a team that can take that risk because, yes, he can turn into a great player. I think the 76ers can do that. I think that's why he goes to 26. If there's a team that's able to take a risk before that, maybe the Spurs, then they would take him. But I think it needs to be a team that can take the risk. So Spurs, Hawks, and possibly the Nets or 76ers would be those teams that could take them for me. Any other guys you want to mention?
No, not really. The only other guy I was going to throw out there, we don't have to go in depth, was guy to watch would be Melvin Frazier. Where is he going to go? Because he's a guy that's been rising, got a Tulane that had a really good combine.
Yeah, he's an interesting guy. I mean, big guy, lanky guy, can be a 3-and-D player.
No, I completely agree. For me, the guy to watch in this range, my Malcolm Brogdon guy is Jalen Brunson. Like, go out there.
Let's answer the question. There's a lot of them. Dante DiVincenzo, Jalen Brunson, Grayson Allen. Who are you guys looking at for the for the Malcolm Brogdon Player of the Year award? Because it was Kuzma last year.
Yep.
Before it was Josh Hart, right? And then it was Malcolm Brogdon. Or am I getting messed up?
I think
no.
Josh Hart,
and
Kuzma were the
same draft.
Yeah.
So it was
Brogdon then Kuzma, right?
It was Brogdon, Kuzma. Who are you looking at for your pick? Let's make the picks now. Who's your Malcolm Brogdon Player of the Year award?
Grayson Allen.
I want to go Grayson, but I think Jalen Brunson is just, there's something about this guy. I don't want to call him a kid because he's old.
Brunson would be my number 2.
Because I got him filling in for the GOAT and TJ McConnell's role. And I think he's the guy who can walk in the door and just perform. He can guard any other guard. He can give people trouble, but he's a smart player. He's very, I don't know the word I'm looking for, but he is a very high basketball IQ player.
We're going to get to my player.
Yep.
But here's what it is. I'm looking for a guy that's either going to be on a playoff team with the lights shining bright on him, or he's going to need a guy that needs to absolutely pop off.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think Grayson Allen's going to be able to pop off. I don't think he is.
Potentially not.
He's going to play on a championship
Could be a small role.
And I don't think that your boy, Jalen Brunson, can do that. I don't think he's going to be in a big enough role.
Okay.
I'm looking at a guy who's going to be drafted to a playoff team. I'm looking in the second round. Like a true Malcolm Brogdon Player of the Year award, Javon Carter.
Oh,
he's going to the Blazers in the second round. Javon Carter out of West Virginia. He's going to be a lockdown stud defensively, backing up CJ and Dame.
I'm going to tease what they call in the business a tease. You'll get my opinions on him in the second round.
Ditto.
Boom. Let's move into round number 2. We are almost done. This is going to be about, I don't know, maybe a 3-hour podcast, Ricky. Take us through.
I told you at the beginning this is going to be a 3-hour podcast.
Take us through round number 2.
Well, I got to get to my round number 2. Starting off at number 31, the Suns going with Shake Milton. Then the Grizzlies going with Isaac Bonga at 32. 33, Jared Vanderbilt going to the Mavs. 34, DeAndre Melton going to the Hawks. 35, the Magic then taking Anthony Simmons. The Knicks at 36 via the Bulls because we gave them that pick in the D Rose trade. Going with Javon Carter. Kings at 37 going with Sean's boy, Hamidou who?
Oh, Diallo.
I wanted you to say it like you usually do. Then
just go.
At 38,
30 picks.
Here's another trade. At 38, this was when the Hawks took 38 and 39 from the 76ers for 30. They're going to go with Landry Shamet and Eli Okubo. Then at 40, the Nets go with Mo Wagner. The Magic at 41 going with Bruce Brown. Then at 42, the Pistons go with Josh Okogie. Then at 43, the Nuggets via the Clippers go with Raleigh Alkins. Then at 44, the Wizards go with Amari Spellman. Then the Nets again at 45 going with my boy Chemezi Matu. Then the Clippers, this is another trade. Clippers are gonna give the Rockets a future second and take the 46th pick for Trayvon Duval. Then Tony Carr going to the LA Lakers at 47. Gary Clark to the T-Wolves at 48. Spurs going Jerome Robinson at 49. Vince Edwards going to the Pacers at 50. Pelicans going Brandon McCoy at 51. 52, the Jazz, or this will be the Nuggets, I think, go with Malik Newman. 53, the Thunder then go Justin Jackson. The Mavs at 54 going with Devontae Graham. Hornets going with Kendrick Williams at 55. Warriors going to give cash to the 76ers to get the 56th pick in Ray Spalding. Then Bonzi Colson going to the Thunder at 57. Alonzo Trier to the Nuggets at 58. Goga Bitadze at 59 to the Suns. And then Arnaldus Kobolka to the Suns at 60.
Guten Tag. There you go. All right, Dave.
I tried.
Wonderful run.
Good luck.
I have 30 names. I'm gonna
fuck
hold my breath. Do it
I feel
all
like
in
you
one
need a
breath.
drink of water, Dave.
It's going to be bad. My throat's going to kill me. Number 31, I got the Magic via the Suns going Josh Okogie. Number 32, Grizzlies going DeAnthony Melton out of USC. 33, the Mavs taking Grayson Allen out of Duke, of course. 34, the Hawks taking Landry Shamet. Number 35, I got the Suns via the Magic going Goga Bitadze. Sorry, names are going to kill me. But it's going to happen anyway. Number 36, the Knicks taking Shake Milton out of SMU. 37, the Kings going Brandon McCoy. 38, the Sixers taking Bruce Brown, and following that, pick up with number 39 and Isaac Bonga. 40, Nets going Omari Spellman. 41, the Magic are taking Mo Wagner. 42, the Pistons taking Jared Vanderbilt. 43, the Nuggets taking Greg Hughes out of Dixie State. 44, the Wizards taking Gary Clark out of Cincinnati. 45, the Nets via the Bucks taking Dubravka Svika, guard international out of Croatia. 46, the Rockets going Gary Trent Jr. 47, Lakers taking Javon Carter. 48, the Timberwolves taking Malik Newman. 49, the Spurs taking Radonis Crux. 50, the Pacers taking Raleigh Atkins. 51, the Pelicans, I can't read, taking Trayvon Duval. 52, the Jazz taking Keith Jennings out of ETSU. 53, the Thunder taking Alonzo Trier. 54, the Mavs going Ray Spalding. 55, the Hornets going Malik Newman. 56, 76ers going Hamadou. Remember when we had a mock to the first, like our first overall?
Yeah, don't talk about it.
Good times.
First round.
Yeah, I know. That's what I meant.
1.0 we had him going.
Yep. 57, the Thunder going Shemezi Matu. 58, the Nuggets going Kevin Hervey. 59, the Suns going Jerome Robinson. Number 60, Justin Jackson.
Not the Justin Jackson from last year, the one from Maryland.
Different one.
Who got
There we
injured?
go. All right, and now we have round 2 for Sean. Yeah, you better fucking apologize.
Yep.
Round number 2 for me, Sean. Nuggets via the Suns, and that was the trade that sent the 14th pick to the Suns, and then the Nuggets received the 16th and 31st pick. They end up taking Brandon McCoy from UNLV. Then at 33, Chandler Hutchinson. This was via the Orlando receives the 32nd pick from Memphis. They receive the 35th pick from Memphis receives 35th and 41st from Orlando for the 32nd. Orlando with that pick takes Chandler Hutchison from Boise State. Then at 34, Mavericks taking Dante DiVincenzo. Then at 35, the Hawks taking Radonis Crux from International. He's from FC Barcelona, I believe. Grizzlies taking Jalen Brunson from Villanova, and that again is in the Orlando-Memphis swap with the 2 picks. Then at 37, the Knicks taking Grayson Allen, the guard out of Duke. Then at 38, the Kings taking Josh Okogie from Georgia Tech. Then at 39 and 40, Landry Shamet and Hamidou Diallo go to the Cavs, and that was in the Sixers Cavs swap where the Sixers went to 8 and the Cavs got 10 and 38 and 39. And the Blazers, via the Nets, that was in the 4-team trade monster. The Blazers take Javon Carter, my Malcolm Brogdon Award winner of the year. Then the Grizzlies, via the Magic, again, that is in the trade mentioned earlier, they take Gary Trent Jr., the guard out of Duke. Then at 43, the Pistons take Devontae Graham, the guard out of Kansas. Then the Nuggets, via the Clippers, take Kyrie Thomas, the guard out of Creighton. And at 45, the Wizards taking Jared Vanderbilt from Kentucky. 46, Justin Jackson from Maryland go to the Pelicans. 47, the Rockets take Redon. Oh, no, I have a double.
Sean,
son of a bitch.
Non-professional.
All right, we're going to flip that to the Rockets at 47, taking Arnaldus Kobolka. There we go. We'll make that switch there. Then at 48, the Wizards taking Jerome Robinson. It would have happened. We have 60 players, and then combined, we have 180 players total. So one.
I'm
mess
surprised
up,
it took this long.
I know, one mess up isn't too bad. Then Jerome Robinson, Boston College, going to the Wizards. Timberwolves taking Bruce Brown. Then William McDowell White, Aussie guard, goes to the 76ers at 49. 50. Pacers taking Kevin Hervey from University of Texas at Arlington. Then the Pelicans take Gary Clark out of Cincinnati. Then the Jazz take Chimezie Metu out of USC. Then Riley Atkins goes to the Thunder from Arizona. Then the Mavericks take Vincent Edwards out of Purdue. Then the Hornets take Billy Preston from the United States of America. Then the Spurs take Isaac Bonga, and they get that in a trade with the 76ers. The Sixers and the Spurs swapped 49, the 49th pick from the Spurs, and the Spurs end up picking up 60 and 56. And the Thunder take Alonzo Triergard out of Arizona. Nuggets take Trayvon Duval from Duke. Then the Suns take Svi Mikhailuk from Kansas. And then the Spurs round it up at number 60 with Yuta Watanabe from George Washington. And if I screwed that up, I apologize, Ricky. You were the main professional, so congratulations for not screwing up.
I try.
And after 10 minutes of saying names into the void, let's talk about some of these guys. And Ricky, we're going to start with you. We're going to congratulate you. You wanted to talk about two guards, Javon Carter and Tony Carr. What stands out about these two guys?
Well, I mean, for me, the first one's Javon Carter, where basically everything that we've said about any other team is not true with Javon Carter. Usually it's, man, his offense is great, but if he could develop a defensive game. This is one where it's like, yeah, he's got offense. It's not like he doesn't have any at all, but it's like coming in, it's like, oh, the thing that this guy does defensively is his big bread and butter. And it's how much can you expect him to contribute to a team offensively. And the good thing, though, with the Knicks is they could use a guy, grit and grind kind of a guy, for David Fizdale, and offensively he can hopefully develop him. If not, they've got Tim Hardaway Jr., who could be the offense.
One thing that I want to mention, though, is Tim Hardaway Jr. being the offense. What?
Well, yeah, I just mentioned someone on their team.
But the one thing I just worry about is you look at the guards, Javon Carter and Frank Ntilikina. That seems like a little bit of a logjam there. Talk about two defensive guards right there. I don't know if they're going to be able to move the ball.
Well, and it's also, you're not going to play those two at the same time. They do have Emmanuel Mudiay.
And Trey Burke.
It could also be one of those where maybe they have one or the other. And getting Kevin Knox earlier, he's going to be in the starting lineup for sure.
Yeah. But Dave, what are your thoughts on Javon Carter? Because I mentioned him. I think he's going to be Malcolm Brogdon Award winner. I think he's a good enough three-point shooter, and especially playing behind, in my case, CJ and Dame. He won't need to really focus on that offense. And when they need a sub, when CJ needs a break, when Dame needs a break, they're going to bring a ton of defense in with Javon Carter, and he's at least a decent enough shooter from the outside to be a respectable player. And I think in the playoffs, it's really going to shine. What do you think about Javon Carter? Where do you have him going, and how do you think he fits into the NBA?
No, I definitely like Javon Carter. I'm surprised in mine. Like, when I was writing it up, he kind of fell in mine further than I expected him to, but then I liked the fit I had, so I left him. I had him going to the Lakers at 47. I think you're exactly right with expectations. He's someone who can come in right away and contribute off the bench. He's not someone who is necessarily going to be capped at those like, oh, well, you'll see a couple minutes here, a couple minutes there. No, he's someone who can put in like 15 minutes a game pretty comfortably. And I think that that's honestly, like, for a second-round pick, the value of knowing you can get a quality backup and a hit on that from a player who has been playing in college for years, someone who is much more experienced. Yeah, that's why he's there, is because the upside, the top end, maybe not be there. But, like, you're getting somebody who can come up and contribute right away. And I think that the Lakers, from my end, are a team who went, oh, we like Josh Hart because he's contributed multiple years. We like Kyle Kuzma, multiple-year college player. Keep going. Keep going.
Stay in the same range. And go get Javon Carter. Makes sense. Ricky, the other guy you want to talk about, a guy who did contribute a lot, Tony Carr from Penn State. Where do you have him going? Why do you like him in the NBA?
Yeah, he's just one that I can't wait to see where he goes for sure. But for me, I had him fitting in right with the Lakers because they're a team that, yeah, they've got Lonzo Ball, yeah, they've got Kuzma, but when it comes to backup point guard, it'd be good to have someone that, hey, you know what, the pressure's not going to be all on you, that's on Lonzo, year two, but he's a guy that can shoot from 40+% from three. He's a guy that, yeah, with about 2.3 turnovers, might have been a little bit too much in college, but he's a guy that will go get you the rebound. He'll shoot from three. He'll even pass the ball, although his passing probably isn't as good as Alonzo Ball. But I can't wait to see where he goes because even though he plays the one, he's going to chase the ball down, shoot from three, kind of do more things for this team, but won't be as defensively sound as Javon Carter we just talked about.
He's got nice size. That's really the only thing
6'4", 198.
That's the only thing I really
200.
like about Tony Carter. I don't think he's going to be able to make the shots he was making at Penn State. I don't think he's going to be the same scorer he was in the NBA. And I don't think defensively he's going to be that good.
Depends on the coach he works with.
I don't know. Tony Carter's not a guy that I have in my draft at all.
G League.
Yeah, I think he's going to be a G League guy. Maybe he works his way up. I'm not saying he can't make it in the NBA. I can't make it in the NBA, so I can't tell another guy
I can't make G League.
Yeah, no. So I mean,
I couldn't even get on the college roster.
This is a thing we're looking at him. I don't know if he's really going to be a guy that really stands out and ends up making a name in the NBA. But hey, Tony Carter, we'll see again, like you mentioned. If he hits the right system, going to be interesting. Dave, I want to go to you. You have one of the Duke guys, Gary Trent Jr. Absolutely went off in the combine. Insane. Moved up draft boards. I had him at 42. I feel even dirty having him that low.
Right.
I mean, Gary Trent Jr.
Am
was
I the guy who had
phenomenal.
him the highest? Am I the only one that had him in the first round?
I think so.
Yeah.
But Gary Trent Jr. That's why we're talking about in the second round. But Gary Trent Jr. was a really efficient player at Duke. 40% from three, 87% from the line. He showed that he can be a scorer. What do you like about him?
I love his size plus his shooting ability. He is a guy who is 6'6", good size. The problem is that he doesn't really use that defensively. Offensively, he's a reluctant shooter, and that's what kills me. Is like if he had a more commanding presence on that team, he could do dirty things. And I just don't know if it's a personality or a basketball IQ thing, or maybe it was just on that Duke team, his role was stand out by the 3-point line and take shots. But I think for a player of his size and his athleticism, he could be he has a high upside. Defensively, he is terrible though. Yeah. And that's sort of why I've got him going so far down. I think that there's always a need for 3-point shooting. He can do that. The problem is, how much time does he have to be on the floor? How long until you get him to a point where he's not a net negative being out there because he can't play defense at an NBA level because he couldn't play it at a college level?
Well, and I think the one thing, too, with Gary Trent Jr. is and the reason why I have him going to the Grizzlies is because I have him going with Jalen Brunson. So Jalen Brunson and Gary Trent Jr. behind Mike Conley, it's going to hide some of his flaws. I think that's going to be the biggest thing is if you hide his flaws, I think he's really going to be able to shine. Yeah. He's going to take time to grow. He's 19. He's a young kid. Yep. So I think it's one thing where, again, he was on a Duke team where he needed to be better. We thought so much of, obviously Marvin Bagley who took the reins and went after it, but Gary Trent Jr., he might be a slow burner and a guy that really develops late in his career. And at 41, where I have the Grizzlies taking him, I think it's an absolute steal right there. And I really like Gary Trent. Had a really nice performance at the Combine. It's going to be interesting to see. And the one thing I want to mention is, like, people are like, I don't have Malik Newman at all in my draft.
We've gotten some comments about him.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I remember you and I did a segment on the Primetime podcast, and I really shut it down because I don't think he's going to be that great. You look at the numbers that Gary Trent put up, and you look at the numbers that Malik Newman put up, you're like, what's the difference? But the difference is age. And the other difference that I think stands out is size. 6'6". He's an NBA guy. He's got the body to play in the NBA. Yeah. Malik Newman's 6'3". I think that's something that's really going to hold him back. So I think the biggest thing with Gary Trent, young, 6'6". He's got the body. Let's see what he can do on an NBA offense. Another guy you want to talk about, though, I have him going to the Spurs as a drafting stash, but Isaac Bonga, we've talked about him before. Yep. An impressive kid. What do you like about him translating into the NBA?
Great size, good all-around ability. He's 6'9" with like a 7-something wingspan. It's not been officially measured, which is kind of annoying. But the point is, he is a big who can ball handle. Everybody's looking for next Giannis, next Ben Simmons, next point forward, guy who can really just do everything you need to. Obviously, his shooting needs to come a long way. He's grown a little bit. He's been playing professional basketball for a couple of years now. On the upside, we've seen him grow every year. Downside, it's almost like confirmed, like his shot is not going to get much better from the 3-point line. Like he could top out at like a 34% kind of guy. But that being said, he's still a 6'9" primary ball handler who has good court vision, who could be, a potential good play. Like I know Magic had like hopes of like was that window like a year ago. Like, oh, he's got the size, he's got decent handles, like maybe we can do something with him. Everyone's going to try to take a stab at a player like that, And with Isaac Bonga, you get a player who you can keep him overseas, let him sit there, simmer, hopefully continue to grow and get better, and then bring him over when you're ready and when he's ready. It's not somebody who needs to deliver day one.
Well, and one guy that kind of fits that mold that I want to talk about, Cavs at 39, one of the picks they pick up from the 76ers, a guy that's going to need time to develop, and maybe it's a ton of a reach. Probably shouldn't even be a pick really in this draft. Amadou Diallo.
Hamadou.
We all had him. We all have him in there.
Yep.
But he can't play basketball. But he's a freak athlete.
Yep.
Had one of the best combines last year. He came in, had a little bit worse of a combine. But, I mean, let's talk about Hamadou. We didn't see much from him in Kentucky, but he's still in the second round.
He screams King's pick to me, and that's why I had
Why
him.
is that?
Because that's what they do. They draft guys who either people are low on and need a lot of development, or guys where it's like, wait, did they just draft Harry Giles? Did they know he blew out knees in college? Like, this is what
I
they
think that
do.
one's going to work out for him.
Like, it works out, but they also make moves of, wait, did they just take Papa? Who? Who did they? Like, this is what they do. They go, you know what? Yeah, he needs to develop. Yeah, he needs this. Who cares? We like him. We take him. That's why, to me, they like Hamadou. Screams a King's pick to me.
My thing is with the Cavs is you're taking Landry at the pick before him, and then you're taking Hamadou. I mean, you're taking a guy in Landry who's going to be able to produce right away. Hamadou's going to sit on your bench for a while, but we saw them do that. I mean, they sat on CD for a while. They sat on they sat on Zizic for a while too. I mean, they have young players that they can develop, and I think they're going to try that with Hamadou. I think it's really just what team has the balls to take him, because I mean he's going to take a while to go and to develop. So it's going to be interesting to see what Hamadou Diallo ends up doing. He's got a nice wingspan. He's got a lot of athleticism, but he can't play basketball. So it's going to take a lot of time in the G League to get him up to become a basketball player. So it's going to be super interesting to see how he develops.
It's funny because he still put up double-digit points majority of the games. He's a good slasher. Like he is quick enough, athletic enough to get to the cup, but
he can dunk.
He can dunk. He needs to get his shot better though. I mean, it screams potential. It's just like you think if you can get one of those guys who is like a shot whisperer to come in and work with him for a couple off seasons, he could be a legitimate, wing out there because he's got the size, he's got the frame.
That's why the 76ers have maybe not because of Fultz, but Embiid. Maybe if they have the ability with those 6 picks, maybe they take him.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be a sleeper. Or maybe the Rockets at 47 or 446. Sorry, my sheet's messed up. It's always one behind. But 46, they could possibly take a shot at him.
And that's the thing I wonder. And I kind of played into it with my mock draft was. The Rockets, will they be a team that goes, no, we don't need a second. We're going to try to move this and get a future second.
Maybe.
Pardon me. And then another team, like the Warriors, I'm getting choked up all this talking for this one.
How many did you have this guy?
But I did the same exact thing they did last year. Jordan Bell, a guy who had great minutes for him for a second rounder in
phenomenal.
The finals. Why not do could they be a team that does it again where screw it, we'll throw cash at the 76ers to take one of their seconds and get a guy that we really want? What kind of moves there are we going to see? Or could we see a Pistons team that goes, well, we couldn't get into the first, let's see if we can do something to get another pick in the second so that we're not just left with one. What kind of move? This is the second round.
Really
we always see moves, but it's how many moves are we going to see in the second round, and what playoff teams are going to do?
I think the average, or my guess for the second round is there will be 11 moves.
Okay.
11 moves made in that second round.
I end up having, one,
I wasn't going to count it for myself, so I'm like...
I have 8 or 9.
Yeah,
I got lazy after the first round.
I see more happening, but it's just I mean, not lazy, but it's just what teams are really going to attack? How do teams really think about the second round? How do they evaluate? The second round is going to be tough. It's just really what players
I spent more time
on
my second than my first.
So did I.
That's the thing.
So did I, but I mean, you got to perfectly craft it. Because we also haven't done a second rounder.
Yeah, this is our first second.
Yeah, we've been doing all first rounders. The other guy I want to talk about is Billy Preston. He ends up going to the Hornets at 55. This is a kid that was supposed to go to Kansas. I think he was a 5-star recruit out of high school. And then he left Kansas, then went overseas, had some back injuries, and he's come over. But he's a guy that's comes in with 6'10 and a half with shoes on, 7'2 wingspan. He's got a shot from the outside. Freak of nature. Yep. Freak athlete. Really, it's a question about his mentality and also a question about his health. But he's a guy that at 55 for the Hornets could really make some noise. He could be a possible stretch 4. He could be a 3. I don't really know where he is, But he's going to be a 3 or 4, and he's got the athleticism, and he's got a pretty decent shot, and he can attack the rim. So this is a guy that is very interesting. You got to watch out if you are an NBA team, if you are an NBA fan. I want to shout out my boy Negro Damas, who keeps sending me videos on Twitter of Billy Preston working out. So watch out for Billy Preston. I think the Hornets need some of that athleticism, need some of that punch in their lineup. They really don't have that right now. And I think getting a guy like Billy Preston could possibly bring that to their team.
One guy, and I know that one of our patrons, Matt, is going to like this one, but to watch out for, 6'8" small forward from Purdue, Vince Edwards. It's where is he going to fall in the second round? Can he shoot as well as he did from 3? It was a 39 clip, almost 40 clip from beyond the arc. And what kind of a team takes a grab at him? Because he's a guy that averaged 7 boards and, like I said, almost 40% from beyond the arc. And that's something that NBA teams might want to take a look at in the second round.
Yeah, for me, I've personally, like, my one weird guy that kind of stands out is Keith Jennings going late, but he's an undersized guard, incredible shooter, though, from a small school. So I personally am just like, if there's an outside shot of somebody like Isaiah Thomas story, that's the guy.
Yeah, I mean, it's something that the second round, you're always going to have some of these great stories like come out and cultivate.
Yeah.
So I don't know what you said. I'm gonna be honest with you. I wasn't paying attention. Let's recap. Let's go through. What shocked you? What surprised you?
About the whole thing?
Yeah.
I'll be honest.
What was the worst trade? What was the best trade?
The four team trade was a bit yikes, but when you unraveled it, I think my only concern. Well, no. I had many concerns. About that 4-team trade. I think the adding Hassan Whiteside kind of clogs up the Bucks quite a bit. I think that
Thon Maker is an NBA player.
Yeah.
And John Henson isn't an NBA starter.
Yeah.
So
I'm just saying, like, they almost looked best out there when they had Giannis playing the 5 on defense.
That's true.
Like, him at the 5 worked for bits. Obviously, they need help, but the 4-team trade was spicy. I'll give you credit because that was a lot of work to try to tie all those ends together, and it did provide solutions for every team. So I want to give you credit for that one.
Nice.
I think my big two biggest what the fuck moments are both from Sean's draft as well.
Oh wow!
Is Lonnie?
If I would have known, I would have hit him up. I got plenty for Ricky.
Lonnie Walker. Well, yeah, I'm expecting it, but like Lonnie Walker to me, like should be higher than you had him, at least top 20.
I laid that out. He's 24.
I know you laid it out, but like
he's 24. He doesn't fit the teams before
I looked
him to take
at
cards.
it and I was like, that one shocked me.
So look at my draft and where is he going?
Also,
look at my draft and where should he be going?
With me, I have him go to the Nuggets.
Okay, but I don't think he fits the Nuggets because I don't think they need a ball-dominant point guard that's going to take away from the shooters they have on the outside.
He could also play the 2. He's not just a point guard.
I don't think he can play the 2.
He can play the 2 as well.
I don't think he's a 2 because he can't shoot the damn
If
ball.
the Bucks didn't trade, could they take him?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay.
It's not that I'm arguing. It's just it shocked me. Also, having Kyrie Thomas in the second round kind of made me go, what?
I don't like him.
I know you like Kyrie Thomas. You don't like Eli Okabo.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's not that I don't like Eli Okabo.
I don't like
I just think he's going to be
in the second round. You put him in the mid-second round, and I've got him like late lotto.
It's not that I don't like him. It's just
late teens.
I just don't like. I don't like. Kyrie Thomas. I don't think he brings that much offensively. Not that much. He's just a guy with a long wingspan. That's it. Ooh, big deal.
People fall in love with
3 and D.
Deal much. Well, let's talk about one final thing. I get 3 and D, but he's not that good of a 3.
Especially a team like the Wolves, I don't think they're going to pass him up.
Well, I think the Wolves would go with a guy in Bruce Brown who's more of a 3 and D player. I think another guy.
But Bruce Brown's not watching anybody's first anymore.
No, that's why he's in second. And then Melvin Frazier, who's more of a 3 and D player.
Okay.
So that's why the T-Wolves would go with that. 2 guys I want to talk about that we didn't bring up. Kostas Antetokounmpo, Giannis' brother.
Yeah,
and
I didn't know if I should put him in the second round.
LiAngelo.
Yeah, LiAngelo.
Who's getting taken? If anyone's getting taken out of it, is it going to be Giannis' brother or is it going to be Lonzo's brother?
Giannis' brother, on the hopes that in like a couple of years, Giannis wants to play with his brother.
Well,
maybe.
And the thing that like worried me the most is most of the things I was hearing about the LiAngelo workout from like all the different sources is it's like you looked at LiAngelo after that workout and it's like he looked like a guy that just got done playing on your team at the Y. Like, that's how bad it kind of looked. Like, he just looked tired at the end of it. Didn't really look like an NBA player.
He tried.
He just didn't look like an NBA player, is what they're saying.
I don't know. I think he still gets a look in the offseason from the Lakers.
He'll get an undrafted look and be on a
look.
summer league.
I think the craziest thing looking back on it is the fact that not only are we going to set records for most trades in the first round, we're going to do it in the first fucking 7 picks for Ricky's draft. So I get shit on for,
Everybody's got to move
Walker
somewhere.
at 24, but
I'm just
we're
saying,
gonna
it
trade.
shocked
We're
me.
gonna switch guys up and down. Anyways,
I mean, Ricky having Luka fall as far as he does,
it's not too crazy.
It pangs me.
It's only
He had him at
because
8
of the
before.
trades. No, 7.
7, my bad.
Yeah. It's the thing that's going to make Luka fall is how many moves there are. And if teams are moving for other players, which just bounces them down.
Yep.
It's going to be interesting to see.
Mm-hmm.
We are right now. We are 12 days away from the NBA draft. Let us know what you think about our mock draft 6.0. And you guys are at VidCon. Maybe I'll put out a 7.0 real quick if things really shake up, if trades happen. But for right now, this is our final mock draft. So let us know in the comments what you think. Don't forget to like. Don't forget to subscribe. This is maybe a 4-hour podcast. I don't know. This is insane. But let us know. Give us some love down below. Don't forget to check out patreon.com/mostvaluable podcast. Don't forget to check out Most Valuable Podcast so you don't miss any of the stuff we post. Also check out our shop on Most Valuable Podcast. And if you're listening on iTunes, don't forget to rate us 5 stars. Leave a nice comment as well. And if you feel so gracious, do it to the fast break. Do it for the onside kick. Do it for the Primetime Podcast, Rick and Johnny, and a graphic conversation. But for Dave Oster, for Ricky Widmer, I'm Sean Anderson. I'll be painting my face purple when LeBron goes to Los Angeles.
Purple and gold, baby.
When he goes to the Lakers. Not.